I absolutely love it. Oh, man, I love that music so much. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Argonauts, to a Friday stream. Welcome to December 23rd. It's about 20 minutes after 9 p.m. Eastern, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you all back to Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. It is day 6 of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, Planetfall, which has learned its name honestly, because as we're going to talk about, that's exactly what we're starting with, was a ship plunging towards the atmosphere. So that's what we've got going on. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is staying warm, especially if you were in the States. It was about almost 50 degrees this morning when my kids' school, in their infinite wisdom, decided they would cancel school, which was like, really? Because it stayed exactly like that. No rain. Gusty wind, but no rain at all. And it stayed exactly like that until about 3 o'clock when it started to drop off a cliff. And when I walked in after coming back from being out with my daughter today at about 8 p.m. Eastern, or I guess, yeah, somewhere in there, 7:45 p.m., something like that, it had dropped down to 18 degrees. So we dropped from almost 50 to 18 in about 4 or 5 hours. So that is a lot. It fell off a cliff. So it's cold outside, but we are warm in here, and we're going to keep everyone warm as well, trying to avoid the awful cold of space as we continue with Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. Before I go any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Check out our YouTube at !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets, website arvaneleron.com, financially, !ArvShop for the merchandise area. It really, it felt like that, especially with wind chill, Mrs. Dunsel. !ArvShop, and again, thank you, Mrs. Dunsel, for the resub, and hello, Hillness. !Arv Shop for the merchandise area, !Arv for the Patreon, and which again is very supportive, and you can tell that we are now up to almost back up to 200 per month again. We have gone back up. We've had patrons re-upped and resubbed and rejoined, and that's great. I'd love to see that number continue to go up. That is always very much appreciated if you're able to do that. And of course, subbing to the channel is another way to help us. You can get those inspirations to help our players with the Patreon and the sub, and you can help our players as well, and you can help yourselves as well with those custom sub badges and emotes to use everywhere across Twitch. On the publishing side, !Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel, !Library for my Tales and Tomes, The Forbidden Library, my Alligator Alley Entertainment, 5e Adventure and Sourcebook, and !Greyshade, which is my novel that was released on May 31st. I am very happy to announce, by the way, that I was told by my esteemed team over there at Athos, by the incredible team of Chris Bell and Emily Bell, that Greyshade has officially earned out. So it is officially earned out, which means that I will now be getting royalties on future sales of Greyshade. For the record, this is the third now book of mine that has earned out. Icarus earned out. Not Mysterious Peaks. I didn't write that one. Forbidden Library earned out as well. So hot damn royalties. That's right. What's up, Mighty Mur? So I'm very, very glad about that. That was really good news, and it just feels nice to have that happen. So so that's great. I'm very excited about that. And you can pre-order, or you can actually order that book. You can also pre-order Renegade. I am working through the edits of that as we speak. That's going to be coming out next year. I won't be able to say that much longer because it almost is next year. And then Heretic is the year after that. The Greyshade tabletop role-playing game being done by the amazing Brandon O'Brien will also be next year. And so that's going to be incredible. And the audiobook from one Mr. Trendsparks will also be next year. So that's going to be great too. I am very excited about all of that. While I am on the subject of those sorts of things, I do want to mention quickly I'll come back to that. !BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. !Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. And !Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the fine people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war. I don't know whether anyone had the chance to watch any of Zelensky's speech to Congress a couple of days ago, but pretty extraordinary individual given everything that they've been through, and they are fighting with bravery and courage, and this is our chance to step up and help a little bit as well, and to send a message about how we help others in similar situations actually going forward. So one other quick mention that I want to make for everybody before we get started tonight is is that this campaign is unique in that, well, it's unique in many ways, but one of the ways in which it's unique is that we have a cheer system here for these players, and I'm kind of rolling this out to see how it works, and we'll roll it out for future campaigns if it continues to go well. The way it works is that if you cheer tonight, anything you cheer during the next 2 hours or so during this campaign will go to these players. So I'm basically going to keep track, and then at the end of it today, I will divvy up all of the bits that I receive from cheers, and those are going to go towards the players. So we would love it if you really like what you see today, for you to be able to support our players directly. This stuff is going to go to them. So that is something for you to keep in mind if you're thinking about, I have been inspired by these wonderful people. I think these are, good types and good folks and all that. If you believe that, then that's the kind of thing to happen. And Mighty Mur, right on cue. Thank you, Mighty Mur. And you should be following, by the way, if you're not already, you should be following Mighty Mur over on Mur's channel, because Mur does a lot of role playing as well, and also, of course, does I should be writing and all that kind of stuff. Oh my goodness! And then Hillness with the bits. Wow, thank you very much, Hillness. Thank you to Hillness and thank you to Mur both. You should be definitely following over Mur, and you should be recognizing that that Hillness is an awesome person as well, because because he is, but also because we're really appreciative of that support. So thank you, Mur, and thank you, Hillness, and yeah, thank you, folks. Really appreciate that. That is a big help. So we're going to be doing that as well. Last point. I have got some very, very, very big news about ArvCon, folks. I can't share the details yet. I'm going to be doing that in the new year. But I'm just going to say that for those of you who have said, I think the one thing ArvCon has not been able to do yet has been able to reach that level with in-person events. If you have felt that way, I'm here to tell you that that may change very soon as the next ArvCon. I will be talking more about that next year. It is very exciting stuff, and I cannot wait to share it with all of you. I will talk more about that next year. But right now, the time has come for Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, and so I'm going to unmute myself and apologize to anyone that I have interrupted in the process of doing so, and then I'm going to unmute them so we can hear them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to transition over to reveal that everyone is here. Johnny has now been replaced, by the way, by a phone. This is part of the advanced AI. This is actually Johnny's consciousness has been transformed into a what looks like just a regular phone, from 15 years ago. So I'm just letting you all know.
We tried to get an inflatable bed, but they only had a phone.
So. That's true. We did need an AI inflatable bed to actually make this work. So this is good stuff. So I'm going to talk much more about ArvCon may become a con. Last point, chat, by the way. The last 2 sessions have been a season finale. Where the party had to deal with a major boss that they were able to defeat, and a series finale where a group of players killed a dragon. As a consequence, we're a little thin on inspirations in chat because they basically chat had to save the party on 2 separate occasions. So I was joking about the expedition's gonna be like, hey, chat, we need help. The ship is falling. Everyone's gonna be like, we're kind of out here.
I have an inspiration still.
That's good. We've got something. Well, but it does now. Remember these don't technically that old one,
strange old
that strange one. Okay.
Yes.
So you got one. Okay, you got that one. Otherwise, we'll just keep this in mind. But as you can see, this is what we've got. I don't actually think we have anyone in here right now who has one.
We don't have that many people at all.
Yeah, we will get more.
We need Paul. Where's Paul?
More people will show up as time goes on, and we'll get there. But let's move right on to this. We have a short session tonight, Chad, and I want to make sure we get through the conclusion of Planetfall if we can for today. So I will start assuming that I can hear them properly. Johnny, can you hear us okay and stuff?
Maybe? I can. You assumed I was a them. I didn't know I changed my pronouns.
No. I was trying to figure out which of the group of you I was going to go to first. No. You're all good. So good to see you, Johnny, or I guess I should say hear you. How are you? How's life in the universe with you? Who are you playing today as you join us with the power of remote technology?
So I'm sitting right for the moment. We're about to get back on the road, but I'm sitting for the moment in the middle of New Jersey, just on the other side of the border of Pennsylvania. I am doing okay, other than it's really, really cold out here.
We were talking about that.
As a California boy who who grew up in Los Angeles, I'm having trouble adjusting
Yep.
badly.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I can make you jealous, it's
sinuses,
49
my
degrees
voice,
here.
You know what, Jack? Jack, seriously, I miss California so much right now.
We miss you too.
But so we're about to get back on the road to finish the last leg of our journey before being in the New York area for spending it with a kid. And otherwise, things have been really good, although it's been really quiet. I do want to acknowledge one quick thing for tonight. I won't be doing any of the voices because my sinuses and my throat are really messed up from the way that the cold has been affecting me. So I apologize in advance. This will be the only one out of context, out of character while I'm playing a character tonight. So, but otherwise, I guess I'm playing Titus tonight. Titus Littlefoot, a Zek engineer. That's it. Right. It's been so long.
It has indeed been a little while. We're just talking about the fact that as of next month we'll be back to our normal set of sessions. We're trying to see if we can fit the 31st in as well, chat, but we're not 100% sure, and that's a little bit on my family's end, depending on whether I'm not sure I'll be able to do the 31st, and if not, then we'll see. But definitely next month we'll be back into our normal set of schedules as the holidays come to an end. So, but good to hear from you, Johnny. I appreciate you remotely dialing in and showing that kind of. The winner remains Rob for having dialed in while in Iceland. That remains my overall players.
Wow.
Yeah, via his phone, not even via his laptop. So that was impressive.
Well, hold on a second. I just want to comment on something about the whole AI thing.
Yes.
Given everything I've seen about the way that the AI, like the chat GRP or whatever it is that's works,
right?
I'm actually kind of curious to see it actually play a character in an adventure, because it will write, it can write rules for D&D. It can create characters for D&D. It can write rules for just about any RPG. It'll write you apocalypse moves, Powered by the Apocalypse moves. It's crazy. So I want to actually see somebody use the chat, the AI program, and just use that as their play.
Yes.
Sir, this is how we get Skynet.
Yep. We were just talking about this.
Yeah, we were.
That's nuts.
We started, we were talking about that. The only thing I'll say is, I mentioned this before, that the interesting thing about it is it's very convincing. It's also often dead wrong. So literally it sounds really convincing on here's how you write a part of a program. And then programmers yeah, but that doesn't actually work though. So I have this image of them being but you realize that armor class is actually only aspirational class. And so, and I'd be right, that's inaccurate. You lose, Hal. So, anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this happens. Right, no one can broadcast the AI player because it's pulling an unknown amount from copyrighted material. We discussed that too, actually, Emily, but we will keep that to ourselves. Pleasure to have Johnny with us. Moving right along, it is, I think normally I go down to, I'll just go straight across and go that way. So I'll go to Toya next. Toya, it is mostly because I want to be able to, I'm super happy to have you with us, Toya, but mostly I'm just happy to show, your dog off, basically, some more. So here is the dog. I want you all to see the incredibly cute dog.
Oh.
And I continue to love the fact it's just like my beagle. The dog is just my beagle is like that, sort of looking generally why are you all looking at me?
Just what's over there? What's that?
Oh,
What's
man,
this?
super cute. How are you, Toya, when not being awesome puppy mom? How's everything going?
I am good. It is 7 degrees here, but that's fine because I got a tiny dog on my lap. This is Keiko, everyone. She's been with us almost 3 months now. It'll be 3 months, January 8th. And yes, we are playing Planetfall tonight. And by the way, you did not mention that it is a literal planetfall.
Yeah, it's quite true. Actually falling towards a planet.
Yes.
That is true. Who are you playing in this Planetfall, though, Toya?
I am playing as Dr. Naomi Winterfeld, who is an adept dream shaper.
Adept dream shaper. Yeah, you worried me for a minute. I'm like, wait, Winterfeld? I'm like, no, I swear to God.
I always say Feld, and I don't know why I say Feld in my head, and it just came out.
Winterfield. Excellent, excellent.
Dr.
It is a great pleasure to have you with us, as always, Toya. And moving right along, it is a pleasure to have Kat with us back from Spain. And we were saying, what better way to welcome you back to Spain, to the States, than to just be like, now we'll dump 1 million feet of snow and have it be negative 6 billion.
Blizzard, man.
So yeah, welcome back to our world. How's things been since returning from Spain? Has the reality settled in? It sounds like it was a great time. And who were you
It
playing?
was an amazing time, and I'm going to get back there as fast as I can. It is cold here. As people may or may not know, this year I bought a 99-year-old house. And one of the things about 99-year-old houses is sometimes the windows are not brand spanking new.
No,
So
they're not. I
this
know that
last few
feel.
days has been
So do I.
prepping for the storm.
Yep.
So other than that, that's fine. And happy holidays to everybody. I'm looking forward to a week of kind of taking things off.
Absolutely. Who are you playing today, Kat?
Oh, who am I playing? I am playing Ziriel Felzahali of the Kamer, a cache specialist, also sometimes known by her net name, which I have forgotten, but saw float by in the chat recently.
I believe the net name, since people have mentioned it in chat, was Jewel 5 ampersand.
That's it,
was
Jewel
the-
5 ampersand. It
Yeah.
falls trippingly off the tongue.
Exactly. That's how you know it's real. It's
Yeah.
really metal
Uh-huh.
when it doesn't. It's like, yeah, I don't need to be pronounceable that easily.
I'm
5
writing it on
ampersand.
my character sheet this time.
There we go. And Jewel 5. Exactly. Thank you, Triffid. And thanks, Kat. It's very good to have you back with us. And it's also, of course, great to have Zach back with us. Also back. I think you all, I have to say, you're all incredibly intelligent people, but it feels like a lot of you have all gone the wrong direction. You're all like, yeah, I was recently in California, I was recently in Hawaii, I was recently in Spain, and I've decided to return now. I'm like, I think you're doing this wrong. I think you need to leave now and go to those places is how this works.
Yeah.
But Zach is just back from the Aloha State, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
How are you, Zach? How was the trip? How was it out there? And who are you playing today?
It was great, wonderful time. It was storming, the loudest and closest, the loudest thunder and the closest lightning I've ever seen.
Wow.
And I happened to be struck by lightning. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
This is
Wait a minute.
yeah. You can see this white mark. It's because as we got back today, we were like, all right, everyone, it's time for some winter cleaning. So we were painting today. And so that's why I got this this shock of white in my hair. I kind of like it. It suits me. But anyway, so yeah, having a great time. But yeah, came right back home and we're like, this is our house. What are we doing? Let's fix this. We just got back from, super nice, Kauai Airbnb, right? Beachside, everything. So anyway, great trip. And I am tonight playing Dr. Juraxus, the what is, how do I say? I think Dendis. Yes, Dendis Cybermancer with the background of celebrity.
That's right. The YouTube influencer, let's say,
Yes.
and all that sort of thing. And no, I don't think the cold has turned Zach prematurely gray. But it's going to be great to have Zach back on as well. And you were going to be, he said, Archly, you will be seeing more of Zach in other contexts sooner than you might think, chat. And we'll put that together.
Such as our
something
vocalists.
I might have mentioned earlier. Well, that's totally what I mean, and
That's
not
totally
some other,
what he's talking
not
about.
some other
not,
events.
Not
that
any
perhaps-
other thing that
anything
is
that would
probably
happen.
super cool.
It is a great pleasure, though, to have Zach back with us and this whole crew. I'm very excited to see everybody, so let's get into it. And we're going to do so fairly quickly because, not to put too fine a point on it, these folks are in free fall, at least their ship is. In our last session, actually, let's get some music up here. Hold on a second. Got to get the sound effects up. Got to get that soundscape. Let's go with this. How about that one? What you got? Tabletop auto. Nope, not dramatic enough. How about this one?
Ooh.
That's not bad.
That's too
Throw a
many-
little bit like
a
that.
lot of
We get a little bit
lasers.
too pew pew.
Oh. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I love it.
I like it.
Just imagine those not as lasers, but as actually sparking circuit boards, and you'll basically
Right.
have the right idea.
Yeah.
In our last session, this crew, which went through a serious amount of work to actually just get this information, ended up finding information that led them to basically they triangulated the mysterious signal, which had originally led them to a derelict freighter and almost to their doom, but they did manage to escape. They then got another ship that they were on with Tren Peril, who was able to requisition a long-range vessel called the Sunrider with these characters as its mercenary expedition team to basically find out what this planet was actually from. Everything was going fine, except that as time went on and they continued to progress towards the signal, the crew started to discover some weird things happening around the ship. There was an atmosphere problem that happened, for example, in Titus's cabin that he had to fix, where the air was getting a little bit thin. There was a bulkhead plate that almost fell over and kind of knocked over Dr. Jaraxis, which was a problem as well. There were things going on all around the ship that seemed problematic, and it wasn't until the party got suspicious and started to track it down, more information, that they discovered that there had been some kind of hostile virus which had been uploaded onto the Sunrider's computer system as it was approaching this mysterious planet. Once the party figured this out, they did everything they possibly could to pull themselves out of it, and they did successfully manage to purge the virus from the system. That was the good news. The bad news is that once the virus was out of the system, to quote Captain Kirk from the, oh gosh, I don't remember the episode. Anyway, the line I'll remember it in the middle of this, but the line that Kirk uses is, I remember. It's from the incredible episode, The Ultimate Computer, in which an AI, which we were talking about, computer, has taken over the entire ship. It was designed to do this, but predictably it goes rogue. Who's ever seen that happen before? And so Kirk manages to convince the computer that it has committed the sin of murder against another ship, causing it therefore to shut down. It essentially has decided that it will atone for its sin of murder by leaving itself vulnerable to attack. It's a really cool episode. You should watch it. Anyway, while it's down, Kirk says to the crew, M5 does not control the ship, but neither do we control it. And that's basically where the party finds themselves, as the computer system that was running the Sunrider is now no longer functioning, and of course the virus, as I mentioned, has been purged from the system as well. And so the party is now heading towards this planet and is beginning to just head into the upper atmosphere. Set of 5 mentioned just before going dark itself that sensors were offline, navigation was at reduced capacity, autopilot is disabled, and so the crew has been advised to switch to manual maneuvering thrusters to prevent critical impact upon the uncharted planet. And you have, and I quote, 20 seconds. And so, with that in mind, I am now going to hand things over to the party to figure out what they want to do. With one question, which is simply, remember that you can take on roles here of ship roles, so not just your own classes, but ship roles in terms of pilot, engineer, and the like. So, and also gunner as well. So the question is, and you're going to have to make this decision quickly, who wants to do what? Someone who is capable of piloting or has, things like intelligence and dexterity skills might be well suited for this. Engineers, that should be fairly clear, people who have engineering interest. And then gunners, people who might be good also perhaps with dexterity checks and things like that, or with good computers checks as well. So what I'm looking for is the role of pilot, 2 engineers, and a gunner. And I'm curious as to who wants to do what.
If I remember correctly, Titus was already making his way to either the pilot chair or had already done a pilot
I think you're right.
role,
That's right. Yes, I think that's true.
I would suggest that Zeriel, who has astrophysics and computers, take the other engineer slot, if that makes sense to people.
Totally makes sense. So
Okay.
if Titus is the pilot and if Zeriel makes engineer, then that means we have one more, either pilot or engineer actually could handle this other role, and one person for gunner. So
Well-
between, what do you folks think, Dr. Winterfield and Jaraxis?
Well, so my one decent skill for this would be astrophysics, and I'm proficient in it.
Okay.
I do have computers, but I'm not proficient in it.
So I would say what I'm looking for in particular here. So I see astrophysics. I also see possibly mechanics checks that may be required from the engineer. So how's that looking for you, Dr. Winterfield?
So mechanics is wisdom, right? That's like 14.
Okay.
So astrophysics, I have 7, which is intelligence is 17, and computers, which is intelligence is 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ziriel, you have as the pilot. You said you were doing pretty well on the.
I have
Could-
+4 on astrophysics, and I have +4 on, and I'm also proficient in astrophysics, and then I have +4 on computers, but I also have a very high dexterity, so I could possibly take Gunner if Gunner is dexterity. In fact, I might be the best person to take Gunner if dexterity is
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
And Dr. Jaraxis is not dexterous at all,
Okay.
if that
I have a
matters.
Right.
What about
Don't
mechanics?
think I am either.
Does anyone have mechanics?
My mechanics is the same as Dr. Winterfield.
Okay, well then, if you've got, then I guess it sounds like Titus would be doing piloting. It sounds like
two
it sounds like
doctors.
Dr. Winterfield would be doing either pilot or engineering, but would be doing the astrophysics thing. Is that? It sounds like Ziriel would be doing the gunner, and then that
Yep.
would leave Jaraxis to do the mechanics, because it's still a wisdom check, so that's not like. That's
Sure.
not like impossible. Does that sounds like what the breakdown is? But tell me if I'm wrong. But that's what it sounded
Yeah.
like.
You initially put it as pilot, 2 engineers, and gunner.
Right. It's actually yeah. It is 1 gunner, 1 engineer, 1 pilot, and then either a pilot or engineer.
a
Oh.
slot
So-
that could go either way.
Right.
Well, I mean, something we could do too is, given that I know out of game, I don't know if any of us have Johnny's stats or sheet, so it might make sense to have someone double up on pilot to more properly.
As
make
long
those
as
rolls.
Arv gives access to my character sheet, it should be updated.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let
Yeah,
me-
if
let
it's
me
on
check
roll
that right
20.
Yeah, so that should all be in roll 20.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have access to it, but if Arb goes in, then that'll fix that. Okay, yeah. Either way, that I think that allocation works well.
Okay. and
Serial
for-
gutting and then us.
I don't actually
stuff.
see character sheets in. I don't seem to have that.
Oh my
Um,
god, that's right. Hold on
yeah.
a second. Let me see if I can. Laptop. Let me pull up my laptop,
Okay.
and somebody will just have
Okay.
to do roll for me.
Okay. All right.
But
While
otherwise,
you're
yeah, I should have my.
Okay, so that's fine. So so as you're coming down, now there's a couple notes here. So as you're all coming down, the ship is kind of like, and also of course, and I just because you weren't here for this, Cat, every conceivable klaxon in the universe seems to be going off on the ship at the same time, like every emergency light, like warnings, but you don't have computer support here because the computer had to basically shut off because again of what happened with the virus. No virus, but also no computer. So it's basically everything has been hooked onto manual. So piloting a spaceship, especially even an advanced one like the Sunrider, without computers is, I don't know, very much akin, I would think, to trying to control the Titanic by yourself. Like, it's very, like, you're rough.
You know how that goes.
As the thing is like is kind of like rocking back and forth, and of course the surface of the hull is heating and so on. The first thing that's going to have to be kept in mind is you've got a few things to think about. One is you could try to figure out maneuvering thrusters to basically accelerate out of here. You have to figure out what the safest trajectory might be, and that, Dr. Winterfield, is the whole astrophysics check about what's the best like angle at which to, to basically enter the atmosphere. What's the optimal one? The engineer, who I think we said was Dr. Jaraxis, I think
so.
would be able to redirect what's left of the shields, maybe, into trying to, because of the hull that I just mentioned. And the last one is the gunner, because, and I'll talk about the gunner, you're not quite there yet, but you will be needed in a minute. So as we're doing this,
I've got a really quick question.
Sure.
Would it be possible, since we have Ziriel here now, would it be possible for Ziriel, or is there no time, to find a program off of the, I forgot what the in-universe dark web is called here. Find like a,
Heart of the web.
The heart of the web.
like
The
a
sim.
backup program to
No
upload
access.
it. Okay.
No access because no computer.
Who-
This was obviously done. I mean, one thing that I think I mentioned last time, but I'll reiterate here: when the computer, you were having the most discussion with it, actually, Dr. Winterfield. This computer basically had said repeatedly that you were not welcome, and so whatever this thing is from the planet that doesn't want you coming, they very much don't want you alive by the time you arrive. So yeah, they do very impressive AI work, honestly, but no way to do it. There's no computer access. Also, not within the 60 seconds before you crash to the planet surface.
So, this thing with the gunner being needed, are we gonna?
The gunner will be needed. I'll come. Don't worry.
We're gonna
That
come to
depends on
Okay,
this first
we're just
stage. Yeah.
Building suspense.
Right now, the
Right.
question really is how you want to organize the order of the other things, which is
Yeah.
boosting shields to protect the hull, using the emergency thrusters at the right moment. That might be something you want to do when you're lower in the atmosphere to like get over certain, land obstacles below. And then obviously marking the trajectory, that has to happen earlier on, Dr. Winterfield, because that's going to determine the overall sense of how you're going to, coast into the planet's surface. So the question is, what order do you want? Do you want to boost shields first and then try to mark the trajectory? Or do you want to do, start with the trajectory and then worry about boosting shields? The hull is already heating
Yeah.
up one way or the other.
Dr. Jaraxis would kind of patch in with the kind of inner ship comms that we have, and Jaraxis would say, "Well, my thinking is, if the hull burns up, there's no ship to land. So let me try that first." And I'm gonna try to focus on, without even knowing where we're going or what's going on, just gonna try to focus on upping our shields, I
Okay.
suppose.
And this is easy
Go
to you,
Dr.
the bottom. Like you're directing the shields towards the
Right.
bottom of the hull
Right.
to the extent that you can. So
I agree with Dr. Jaraxis, and Dr. Winterfield would let him do that first, and then try to determine what the correct trajectory would be.
sounds good. By the way, Dr.
Okay.
Winterfield, as he's doing this and you're looking down, it's a little disturbing to you that you're now, as you've entered the atmosphere and you're just starting to get below, you can see land masses below you, and like that's not a great sign. Like, oh, I can make visual contact with these things I'm heading towards, like the ground. Okay, so let's deal with Dr. Jaraxis. So what you're going to need to do then is
Right.
to make a mechanics check to more or less manually reroute the shields. And this is kind of like almost brute forcing it, like just sort of, I don't want to say that you're literally switching wires, but you're basically toggling switches that clearly have not been toggled for a long time because everything's supposed to be computerized. So this is very much, you're working with a backup system, but
Right. Is there any... Oh, okay. So, I'm just trying to see if there's like any things that I can add to this, and I'm looking through like my abilities and things.
sure.
I have proficiency in digital technology tools. I'm not sure if that would apply
Not
here.
digital, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, this is more mechanical by nature.
I know the
Okay.
pictures, chat. We lost Johnny, but we'll get him back.
Oh, all right. So other than that, I think I would just have to. I have a large tool bag which I am using. That'll help. All right, I'm just gonna make the roll. That's being level 2. You don't have too much. All right, here we go.
That is right. Okay.
I pray to the dice gods, and the dice gods smite.
The dice gods say no. Wait,
Oh,
I don't have it.
no.
Okay, hold on. There we go. Oh, it was that. Oh. Well, those shields are not okay. So we will
Yeah.
keep in mind that is not a success, unfortunately.
I'm
And
curious to know
basically-
what I've done.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like right now, I mean, it's not it's not your fault, right? It's just that you're like what the hell am I even looking at? Like and so you hear a couple of and then you hear the think of the Millennium Falcon. They told me they fixed it, type of thing. That's more or less what this is. All right, Jarax is not great. While you're struggling with that, unfortunately, that brings us back up to Dr. Winterfield. Dr. Winterfield, have you figured out where you're aiming for? Because you're going to need to calculate a safe trajectory and basically shout it out to the pilot is more or less what you're doing. So it's very visual, in emphasis.
Dr. Winterfield is analyzing and analyzing and analyzing. Well, I did that wrong. I hit the wrong thing.
Wow,
Yeah,
Yeah, if
53.
that was your total. I mean,
Yeah, I was going to
you
say,
just broke the game.
you lift the ship by yourself. No,
You
you're going
take us to the end of the campaign.
Are
I
you
hit the
making
wrong-
astrophysics there? Yeah.
So, do I just hit D20 and add 5? I think I did the exclamation point P because I thought that would add 5.
So,
but that's
yeah,
the
it would
wrong
be your
thing.
intelligence bonus plus. Are you proficient in astrophysics?
Yes.
So +2. So intelligence
Okay.
bonus +2. So whatever that works out to.
I've actually got a
It is
5
probably
next to
5.
my astrophysics.
That's
so-
probably
Yeah.
right. So then,
Yeah.
okay, so 20 plus 5. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
All right.
Let's see this happen.
Here we go.
Okay,
So an
23.
20, yeah. So that you do actually, as you're looking down on this, you can see that it seems to be a quite a lush planet in certain areas, and then very sort of barren in others. And there are a couple of spots where you're like, here's jungle, and that seems very dangerous to just like land a ship in the middle of a jungle. And then there's another area where it seems like there's a series of what I would essentially describe as flat plateaus that presumably if you can get the ship there, and this is where we're going to need Titus in a minute, would be the best place to land because it's relatively open and you don't have to worry about getting the wings torn off and everything else as you head into the ground. So that probably seems like your best bet from what you can tell, Dr. Winterfield, if Titus can get there.
Titus, there are plateaus ahead. Can you see them?
Titus acknowledges you with a nod, but is currently trying to solve the same problem that Jaraxxus was trying to solve, which I believe so the ship is coming down at an angle where it's like the shields are like not happening. Everything's going all crazy.
Right.
With like the ship probably being buffeted around. When a spaceship comes down, usually the lower part of the ship has some sort of like heat shield of some kind, like actual physical plates. And Titus would understand, at least generally, regardless of whether he understood the ship specifically, he would understand generally how to angle the ship in such a way that to buffer it so that the entry point or the re-entry is going to cause as minimal damage as possible, although it's not avoidable. By angling the ship in a way so that the brunt of the sort of the atmospheric pressure and the heating up is actually going to cause to focus on essentially where it's going to have the least impact, and so that's what he'd like to do, angling the ship first.
Okay, so that makes sense. As you're doing that, also, if you can get the thrusters to work, the maneuvering thrusters to work, you might also be able to not only do what you've just described in terms of the angle, but also get far enough to get to the plateau that Dr. Winterfield has just pointed out. So, we'll talk about the gunner's coming up in just a minute, by the way, because this is going to affect that. So what you'll need to do for this is a piloting maneuver check here. I want to make sure that I am double checking on what piloting is associated with, which I believe is
I believe it's dexterity.
I think it is dexterity, yes, but yes, okay, so that's right. So that means that we've got this up here, which is yes. So piloting maneuver check is D20 plus your proficiency score, if applicable, plus your dexterity bonus. So that's what a piloting maneuver check would be. Also, thank you, Polar, by the way, for the resub.
Okay, so it's going to be +2 for proficiency, and then the bonus on dexterity is +4, so it's going to be D20 plus 6.
Okay.
So if somebody can roll that would be great.
D20 plus 6. Who wants it?
I'll do it. I'll redeem the bad luck from earlier. Okay,
Thank
D20
you.
plus 6. I got you. Look at that. I got you a 19 total.
19. So yes, the ship kind
I'll
of like
take it.
the ship kind of goes like kind of bucks forward a little bit, but does seem from Dr. Winterfield's look as if it is going to get to the plateau that you mentioned almost. But this is where we have the issue that needs to be addressed by the gunner, because what you also see is that there are a series of there's basically a tree line before this plateau and a series of kind of rocky crags surrounding this plateau, which may take out the bottom of the ship, especially with no shields, Zeriel, unless
awesome.
you can blast them out of existence. So basically, you would need to gun these trees and rocks out of the way using the ship's autocannons. That's basically the theory, unless you can think of something else relating to the gunning. But that it seems like you're going to not clear those areas that I mentioned before you get to the plateau. Did you hear us, Zeriel? Cat?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to Zeraxis.
No, I was talking to you.
I'm sorry.
I was talking to you as the gunner. This is
Yes.
what the gunner is for. So there's the tree line and also the rocky crags there that are in front of the plateau that Dr. Winterfield saw, and the ship's not going to clear it unless you blow them the heck away
Well, then I'll blow them the heck away.
with the autocannon.
So, should I?
So this is a ranged weapon attack then. So you're going to be making a ranged weapon attack, basically trying to hit these things. And it's funny, like they're not moving, but you are. So the gun is like, as you're going.
Alrighty. Oops, maybe I'm about to put it in chat on Twitch. So for once, I'm not going to do that. I'll do that over here. First. 20.
Wow. So like, and it just gets the trees and the crags as the ship. In fact, you hear as there's a scraping literally on the physical hull of the ship as you get over this side. So that's a total of 3 successes. And you'll be happy to know that with the 3 successes here, that you would have taken a lot more damage if you didn't do this. The ship comes down with a just slam, and everyone is thrown up and outward from their seats, etc. I need every one of you lovely folks to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Just before we crash down, Dr. Jaraxis would see Zeriel's expert gunning and would say,
Oh, with that shooting, I don't need to do any work on the hull. You just get rid of all the obstacles. Oh!
This all will.
Now, is this with the D20?
Yes. Yes. There should be saving throw
Whatever
listed
plus
on the sheet.
your Constitution is.
Yeah.
I will roll for Johnny
Okay.
now.
All right. I see a 15.
Well, I'm dead.
Zeriel. Cool. Well, we'll talk about that. Dr. Jaraxis with a 5.
Yep.
I'm gonna ask.
It looks
I'm
like-
gonna ask Kat in a minute how Zeriel makes her awesome Captain America landing without taking damage. In a
It looks
minute.
like Titus is going to get a +4.
Okay.
So that's what I'll do. Okay, so 11 for Titus.
11. Okay. So, Zeriel, let's start with you. How do you land in such a way that you do not take damage from this fall as you're kind of thrown outwards from the gunner seat?
In slow motion, you see everybody bouncing around and shit is flying through the air, and you see Zeriel just kind of push off with her legs and sort of somersault into the air and manage to and while everything is landing, it just kind of banks off one thing, then banks off another thing, and then just lands on her feet just second, like a split second after things have hit, and looks like never moved.
Pretty awesome. Do we get a kind of one of these like one of these deals yeah. Very impressive from Zeriel. Unfortunately, your companions. I like to think that we see Zeriel. You're like, wow, and then you hear doof, 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 as the other 3 hit the ground, because you all do hit the ground. Okay. Oh. Apparently, the dice decided not to be kind. You will all take, the rest of you will take 8 points of damage as you hit the ground with a heavy thud. So I think that brings Dr. Jaraxis and Dr. Winterfield down to 7. And I think Titus is down to 6 because you had lost a few earlier, Titus, from the problem with the cabin, I think.
That's right.
Okay. Although, actually, Dr. Jaraxis, you had one of your 5 temporary hit points remaining I have here.
Oh yeah,
So that means
I had that down too, but I wasn't gonna say anything because it seemed like I didn't know if it was true or not. But I also had a 1, so
So now you have, but that's fine. So we use that 1. So you have 8 out of 15. Dr. Winterfield,
Great.
you have 7. That's the bad news. But the good news is you're now down. There's a great smashing and crashing sound, and then the ship gives a great sort of shuddering as it comes to a complete stop. And you are now there, and there's still kind of one blinking red light that remains. You know, the other klaxons have basically shut off at this point. And you have now landed. And let me fire up here how about this one? Space Explorers? Yeah, there we go. Okay.
ooh.
So you're on the ground, and all the ship systems are down. There is no way to map out this area from inside the ship. I mean, Tren, who also kind of got hurt, but looks okay. But there's no way that you'd be able to map out the area from the side here because you don't have any sensors. The ship is a disaster. The good news, though, is that the hull, which was indeed ruptured when you hit the ground, so there's literally air coming through. Fortunately, the air seems to be breathable here. And so you are here breathing this air, but the power is failing. And also the distress beacon from which you originally had used that signal that you were following has also gone quiet. So Tren kind of picks himself up from the wreckage and and he kind of looks around. Well, is everyone alive?
And just so I have this clear, we were actually in this crash. It was so violent that we were kind of ejected from the ship. Like we're
No,
kind of
just
now
from your seats, like from your seats
so
where
we're
you had been.
still interior. But when you say we're breathing the air, like there's holes in the ship
Holes
now,
in the hull.
kinda?
Yeah,
Okay, got
exactly.
All right.
Some of which happened when you just cleared the forest and the crag lines, thanks to Zuriel's gun work.
Yeah, Dr. Jaraxis is pawing the ground a bit like Velma after her glasses, but he's saying,
My camera. Where is my camera? Oh, where is it?
that's what
I
I'm
am
doing.
mostly in one piece. And how are you, Tren?
And you can see he's bleeding from his forehead, and he's like, I've been better. Damn computer systems. And he just kind of glares at the silent, inoperative or operable screen in front of him. And comms are down on the ship as well. You folks have your own internal comms that are still functional, but the ship's comms are not functional. And so Tren says, I better go check out how the rest of the crew's doing in the ship. If all of you want to reconnoiter, you could do that. We're not going to do anything inside this hulk.
Where are we?
And he nods. He says, well, we've arrived at wherever the signal was. It was somewhere on this damned planet, which seems really happy that we're here. Kind of
Why
cackles
don't-
sarcastically.
I am reasonably stealthy. I could slip outside and just sort of make a little circle around the ship and see what's what, if that seems reasonable to people.
Okay. Could do that if you like.
And I will stealthily do that. Do you need me to roll?
Well, so not yet, but when you get outside, you will be. So are you just going to like Zuriel directly reconnoiter around the ship? Like,
Yeah, make
more
a
or less?
little kind of circle around it, maybe about 50 yards out.
Okay.
Kind of.
So there's actually one of the holes in the hull is big enough you can literally climb through it. The ship was actually up a little bit, and it strikes you, Zuriel. Actually, make Make a perception check for me, please, as you come to this hole in the hull to go out and do your little loop.
I rolled a 12.
This seems like an awful lot of damage to a ship hull from something on the ground. I mean, even without the, like whatever it was that hit the ship on its bottom that you managed to, shear away most of, this is a lot of damage for something that was, the Sunrider's in decent shape. It was in decent shape, even without shields. Something really tore it up.
As I go out, I will pause and mention, gosh, this seems like an awful lot of damage, etc. before, and then without waiting for any request for elaboration or anything, we'll just sort of like vanish out the hole.
As you come out, and now you do your, was that the stealth that you were just doing?
Yes, okay. A 13 with my stealth.
One thing that will help you, Ziriel, is that it is quite dark outside, and it's also frigid. You find that you have, in fact, landed on a plateau. It is frigid air, and there are sharp winds ripping through, and you can hear the like whistling wind, the mountain peaks above you. And also, and I'm sure everyone is, I just realized as I'm doing this how much people are going to be like, thanks, Arv, too soon. A light rain is also soaking the area. So cold rain is the best, right? Who doesn't love a cold, biting rain?
I'm going to say on the comms, my friends, we seem to be on some sort of frigid and quite chilly plateau. And then I'll continue scouting.
Okay. It is very, very dark. The only light source that you have is there are some emergency lights that are powered by batteries on the outside of the ship. They don't extend very far beyond where you said you wanted to go. I think you said like 50 yards out or something. Yeah, that's about as far as they would go. Okay. There is also, you can see light from twin moons in the sky, kind of dimly shining down upon the surface of the planet, the surface of the plateau, which is also slick and slippery. Now, you'll be able to do this without slipping, but you can't go super fast, especially if you want to be, stealthy. So as you go around that loop, trying to stealthily avoid, anything, you come around, you don't hear sounds other than the whistling of the wind, but as you come around towards the back of the ship, towards the stern, you can actually see in the distance the, quote, tree line that you saw, and now maybe makes sense to you as to what happened, because it is reflecting, I'll say that again, the tree line is reflecting the light of the moons. If you had to guess, Ziriel, you would say that you're looking at crystal trees, some kind of crystal formations that are reflecting, and they actually look, although you're not close enough to see in great detail, almost like crystalline pillars or something that are extending up. So what you thought were trees were crystals that you were shooting.
All right. Well, it's very pretty. I'll take a little photo with my eyes or whatever. I'm sure Dr. Zaraxis would like to know what this landscape will look like for his audience. So I'll return to the ship and just be like, it is cold out there, and there's 2 moons, and it's very pretty. And those trees, the reason there's so much damage is that those trees are made out of some sort of crystal.
All right. Jeez, how did you get through that hole? Maybe I'm just big. Wow, this is pretty.
Dr. Draxus starts his recording unit. It's not live streaming, but just like a video, almost.
It's a good thing you got that IP44 water rating, right?
Yeah. Starts to sort of, Bear Grylls on in the wilderness, camera focused on his face, walk around and kind of like give a nature-y introduction to the place and what has just happened. After which he'll remark to the others and say,
this stuff works very well if we still have some sort of goal or, the next plot point for the audience. You have to think like an editor. So, do we still have any way of tracking this beacon? Or do we just know it's on the planet? The planet's very big.
Might any of your viewers have any idea where we are?
I don't think I have any connection here. I'm just going to wager a guess.
You're gonna ask chat. Just like, chat, where are we?
I am not.
Even in desperate times.
No, I know. I have chat will
You might know.
I have been guided by chat to restaurants when I was getting my car fixed on a couple occasions, and it was an eventful experience. Anyway,
Oh wow.
sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm as a player under the assumption that, I mean, in the random doodad gizzle wobble of how a, future space age vlogger works, and just crash landing on a planet, I'm assuming I don't have like data, especially if this planet is in the middle of it was in the middle of a nebula or something.
Yeah.
It's uncharted, right? So, yeah, assuming that, Jaraxxus would say,
I this is all going to be for later. I think we're in the dark right now.
Now, how far away is everyone from the crystal trees?
You would guess that you're probably maybe a quarter mile to an eighth of a mile, maybe an eighth of a mile away from it, if you had to guess, Dr. Winterfield.
So it wouldn't be safe to walk to get over there and.
You could. Oh, I mean, you could definitely do it. The question the only issue really is it is cold, wet, and rainy.
Without freezing to death.
That's right, exactly. Well, so okay, it is not as frigid as it is out actually where we're talking about right here. It is cold enough that it's slick and wet and cold. So it's there are issues with slipperiness. It's not that frigid yet. However, you have limited gear. Now you haven't yet tried to search the ship and see if there's anything that survived yet, but just in your kind of standard whatever, space outfits or whatever, they won't hold up forever. So you'll have to do a little bit of, survival, so to speak. That said, you're going to have to go to a place where you can find some shelter from some of this wind and rain, and maybe the crystal would do that. They're certainly within range of you getting there.
Now, with the ship down, I would assume there are opportunities to loot.
Oh yeah, you would definitely be able to pick up what's left of the ship if there is anything.
I mean, like some better gear, some warmer clothing.
If there's anything left.
Yeah, let's see what we can find on the ship.
I think that's a good idea.
The doctor will also head in to kind of survey the wreckage now, and also will look for Titus, because Titus is supposed to be his co-star in Jaraxxus's mind. So more, of course, still more concerned about, the show and the social media rather than Titus himself.
Right.
But he does care about Titus, and so he's going to look for the little guy and see if he's okay.
Titus, are you okay?
I'm still reeling from the shock that apparently I'm the co-star of the Dr. Jaraxxus show. But
Not for the shock of the
Congratulations.
ending, but for the shock of that revelation.
Yes.
Titus probably would be, I guess, trying to see what he can do to get anything going from the ship power-wise, get sensors, get maybe, like emergency, atmospheric power-up so at least we can stay warm enough. Just about anything. Like he's a pilot. He's going to go into, he just crashed a ship. He's going to go into survival mode in a lot of ways. So,
Okay.
like, he's going to waste time, trying to reconnoiter. He's going to try, or he's not going to try to waste time like scavenging. He's going to try to get things going first, and will then decide what he's going to do once he can't actually make the ship at least even remotely. Like, there's got to be a room. There's got to be some place that can serve as a decent shelter for the time period, that it is nighttime essentially. So that's what he's going to do.
Okay. That sounds like a plan. Ziriel, so I know what you're doing. I know what Dr. Winterfield's doing to try to find Jaraxxus, same thing. Ziriel, what about you? Are you also joined in the search for the interior, or are you staying outside scouting the...
Oh, I will
outside
come back
stuff?
in and help rummage through the interior, and I will use all my specialist knowledge of kind of like where one might hide things, just in case there's something particularly useful.
Okay. I will also note to the players. Well, okay, I'll talk about that after you do this search. So I will have all of the four of you, please, make perception checks for me, please. This is driven by wisdom. And we're going to see what you salvage. It doesn't help that the massive hole you clambered through, Ziriel, was in the crew quarters, where a lot of the gear was kept.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. After ensuring that that Titus is okay and seeing that Titus is going to restore power, since everyone else is inside, Dr. Jaraxxus, I mean, actually, now with that view that holes have been punched in the ship and that he kind of feels responsible for it, Jaraxxus is actually going to walk around the ship and maybe even towards the forest just a little bit to see if, like, you know, there's crates of anything or like pieces of the ship, essentially like wreckage outside.
okay.
So that's what I'll do.
I will come back to that. But go ahead and make your perception check first,
Okay.
Jaraxxus, and then I'm going to have you make another one for another reason, but let me
Right.
do this first. This
My
why you
wisdom
both
is
do.
14. How much do I add to it?
Be +2.
Okay.
So, and then if you have proficiency in perception, I don't know if you do, then you'd add more, but otherwise it would just be +2.
I rolled a 21.
Okay. We'll talk about that. That's going to help.
So you said you would ask for 2 rolls.
Right.
here's
So
my
this first one was for what you found in the ship, which narratively
Got
works
it.
because I think you're more worried about
Yeah.
the outside of the ship. So,
Okay.
okay.
I'll do one for Titus.
sounds good.
Now, who has a +3. So here's for Titus. Hey,
Okay.
So far, I've been rolling much higher for
For
Titus. so
Titus and you. Okay, 18. And then Dr. Winterfield, what about you for your 10? Okay. No, I think we got 2d20 by accident. Yeah. Okay. So 11 and then so +2, so 13-ish, I think. Is that right? It was +2 for your wisdom, right? Is what we said?
That's correct.
Okay, so 13. Cool. All right.
Yes.
So, other than Dr. Jaraxxus, who seems more interested in the hull, and I'm going to have you make that other perception check in a minute. For the other three of you, including Titus, you are able to find a couple of things. Titus, because of where you're actually looking, you find a couple things specific to that area. So you find about 50 feet of coiled cable rope. And you're also able to find 2 flashlights also. Ziriel, in the process of your doing your search, you find a couple of spare backpacks, and you also find a first aid kit as well. And last but certainly not least, Dr. Winterfield, you were able to find I mentioned the first aid kit and the flashlights and the rail. You also find 2 spare backpacks. I don't think I mentioned that before.
Yeah,
I
you
did mention
mentioned that Ziriel found
Ziriel
spare
found the backpacks.
Yeah.
Did I mention the flashlights yet?
Titus found 1 flashlight. Yeah, so far Titus found 50-foot coil.
Oh,
rope.
I found. Okay,
Found
never mind.
two
Yep,
flashlights.
I got it. No, I remember what it was. It was the food. That's what we found. So, Dr. Winterfield, you find about 1 day's worth of rations for each of you. So there's about 4 rations total, enough to maintain each of you for about a day with food, and that's about it. Unfortunately, a lot of the provisions in the cargo hold were apparently ruined by the atmospheric venting. The fact that the hull overheated and stuff like that, followed by the crash landing. So that's pretty much the gear that you've got. You're also able to confirm that a couple of the crew members, that the crew seems to be okay for the most part, but some of them may be not in the best position to be able to travel, at least not immediately. And so it seems like assuming you leave behind a couple of rations that they have themselves that they were able to, like they had on their person, that probably sustains them for also maybe a day or 2. Excuse me, but them traveling is going to be difficult given the conditions that some of them are in. Again, they're not like at death's door, but they came through it worse than the 4 heroes did, shockingly. And so Tren says that he'd prefer to kind of stay and watch after them. And he says, and somebody's got to watch after the ship anyway. And so recommends that the 4 of you try to head out and figure out a way to get help, or at least access something if you can. And that's pretty much what you find in terms of what's left in the ship. Now, I mentioned this perception check. I want to do that for Dr. Draxus, and then I'm going to give the party an option they can choose to take advantage of if they want. Also, hi, Drew. Okay, so go ahead and make Draxus for me one more perception check. Okay. As you're sort of walking around the hull and you're kind of going a little bit towards the crystalline forest that I mentioned, you hear at one point there's this, constant wind whistling, and then you hear like a growl far in the distance, but it echoes and sort of comes across the plateau towards you.
Can I tell from what direction?
Roughly speaking, the crystalline forest, but it's hard to say because it's kind of, the wind also kind of kicks it all over the place. Am I being summoned? Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Yes. So, sorry.
Draxus will, having been recording, will stop the recording after that. Just kind of lower the recording unit and look out over the forest. And kind of give out a frosty breath and walk back towards the group and say, well, as I kind of like am looking in the hole in the ship as everyone's looking at their stuff, I'm say,
one thing's for sure, either we are for sure not going to the Crystal Forest, or we are for sure going to it, depending on how we feel, because I just heard a very loud, distant roar of some sort of native species. Could be very interesting to be among the first to document it, but also the first to be killed by it. So the plan is, though, it looks like the crew can't really move around too much. We need supplies, we need food to see if there's people on this planet, I suppose. Did you all find anything useful?
I found some rations that will give us a day at least. That's it.
But just enough for the four of us.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, I said just enough for the four of us?
Ziriel is muted.
Oh.
I found a couple of backpacks.
Oh, good.
What's in them?
Is there stuff in them, Arv? I just presumed they were backpacks.
They are empty. They're empty.
They're
They look like they're fairly strong and sturdy, though. Like they're designed for, use in planetary exploration, apparently.
Well, and Titus, any luck powering the ship up, or did you find anything?
I just acknowledges the flashlight and the coiled rope, and shrugs and begins to survey the landscape through the hole.
Is it the type of rope where we could tie it around someone's waist?
Yes is the answer to that.
Sure.
Kind of a thin, strong cable. So you could do that, yes.
What's your thinking, Doctor?
Well, if someone ventured out into that crystalline forest and needed to be pulled back quickly, we could do that.
Oh, great.
GM, is it a bit of a drop? Like, are we almost on a precipice that looks out over the tops of the trees?
Yeah,
or...
your impression is that you're probably in the lower peaks, because you can see above you there are much higher peaks as well. But your impression is that probably you're in the lower peaks of the range, but still, yes, you would be on this plateau pretty substantially higher. You would obviously have to you're kind of in the middle, so You'd have to get to the edges of the plateau to see whether there are paths that kind of lead downward. Would
Okay.
be your guess. Because climbing up seems not likely
Hmm.
with pretty much no gear from
Does
the mountains.
does anyone have any ability to see in the distance at all? A tool or a power or a technology? Because I'm wondering, if there was a beacon coming from this planet, then that means either this planet has life that sent the beacon, or someone like us crashed here, which means either way there are people. And so
Doctor,
I just want to see if we can see a campfire or something.
Dr. Winterfield does have a microanalyzer, but I don't know how useful that would be.
I mean,
If we're looking for the who's.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
not so much here. Definitely, I mean, it'll have uses for sure, but not
Oh,
at the
yeah.
distance.
Would it be possible for Dr. Winterfield to connect telepathically with anybody?
I
I think they'd probably be too far away.
Yeah, I mean, you would think at the moment, you need to at least have a sense that there are creatures around, and although you have no doubt there's no direct, information yet other than what Dr. Draxus reported, and that's very far away if that exists.
I'm trying to see if my recording units can look in the distance, but otherwise, I guess I certainly don't think we are going up unless we think that will give us a vantage point, but that looks freezing at that. So we go into the forest then. Let me see. Yes, no, this only does panoramic video at all angles, including the recorder, and broadcast it simultaneously over multiple media formats. No zooming. That's a shame. All right, well, my vote is the forest. Even though there's a scary creature, I will stay in the back and record so that the people who find our bodies know what happened.
I
That's my
don't
vote.
know that is as confidence inspiring as you meant it to be.
I did not mean it to be.
Oh, very well then. It was not. The forest seems reasonable to me. It's clear that I don't think sticking with the ship will do us any good. What do the rest of us feel?
Well, whatever we do, I think we should heal up first. You did
That's a
find a
good
first
idea.
aid kit.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
not
Those
very
of
good.
you who were so ungraceful as to be hurt during the landing should definitely heal up.
Do we want to try to take a short rest or something? That might
Probably
work.
better shelter here for short rest than elsewhere, but
Right.
there are holes in this ship.
Titus, do you need a little rest before we go on our expedition? Unless you're planning to stay with the ship.
Titus shakes his head yes, and begins to hunker down for, the short rest in a, sort of a secluded spot. And then, Greg, I have a question for
Sure.
you, based on I'm looking at my character sheet, and at some point during the last quote-unquote mission, when we first went to the ship, the derelict ship, we got an environmental pocket as a part of our handout for that mission. Did we get to keep those?
The environmental suit sort of bubble things that you have work for maybe an hour. That's all they were designed to do. And
Right. Right, but so the question I have is, do we still have them? Are they recharged at this point? And can we use them in the harsh environment to keep ourselves warm for a period of time before we're going to run into trouble? Basically protect ourselves from the elements using them.
So I would say yes, and 1 hour's worth would be my answer.
1
to
hour's
that.
worth.
Yeah.
So Titus is going to remind the rest of the crew that that's something that we did have from the last mission, and that we should make sure to use them at last resort.
And do we know that our only option is this crystalline forest? Are there other avenues at all for us?
That's a good question.
Well, it's pretty much from the description. It seems behind us like big peaks that just stretch up and up and up,
Mhm.
right? And snow, and then the forest is everything that's in front of us, just spreading out, right?
Well, in front being the rear of the ship. So, like, if you're looking out the rear of the ship, the crystalline forest is behind the ship, basically.
Okay.
That's to the south. It does look that to you, although it's a little hard to tell with light, because again, you've only got the dim light of the moons. But it does appear that, so to the south, you've got the crystalline forest. To the east, it does look like there's sort of a dark greenish, really just mostly dark area that extends away from the crystalline forest. And it's possible that that could also be an area that might lead, be a small little actual regular forest or something like that, that kind of leads into the mountains that could lead to a path that goes down. North and west of here, west is basically like the plateau that just seems to like descend straight. I mean, from what you can tell, like they would just be sort of a sheer drop. And to the north are the very high peaks that you would have to somehow climb up into, presumably. So it looks like north and west probably aren't options. South is the crystalline forest you've talked about. East may also be an option, although you can't see it well until you get closer to it. The crystalline forest you can see because it's reflecting the light.
So is the green, is that about the same distance away from the ship as
Yes.
the crystalline forest is?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
I think the
And-
forest is probably going to be easier. Do you think that? I mean,
Yes, it looks like it will have more light and cover.
But
in
the
case we get
green
into
has
trouble.
been silent, while the crystalline forest has not.
You're very right. Silence is boring to me, so my vote is the forest.
Life is unboring to me.
I'm glad they
Going to
brought.
acknowledge that.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Titus is going to acknowledge that knowing there's danger in a particular direction is better than not knowing that there's danger in another direction.
Good
Having
point.
some knowledge is better than none.
Jaraxus sits down and starts a short rest, assuming that we can
okay.
rest in the hulk of the ship, the corpse of the ship, for an hour.
Definitely will at least keep the sort of rain and that thing off you, such those things off of you, those kind of environmental conditions. I will mention that the according to what Tren says, the light that is sort of the emergency lights around the ship will themselves only light for about an hour, which is fine. Like, I mean, there's enough internal support that you can manage it there. And it wasn't like that was going to light you can't like take them with you or anything. So it wasn't going to light your way anyway. So that seems about right. So if you're going to do the short rest, then what that will mean is, first of all, the first aid kit you found, what that does is it allows you to stabilize people who are at 0 hit points without having to make a medicine check. Basically just
Okay.
means you just auto stabilize them once you say I want to do so. And it's got 10 uses. That's what that does. Otherwise, unless you have any healing ampoules or anything like that, then this is where you get to use hit dice to heal yourself. So you are level 2, I believe, which means that you have got 2 of the original the dice that you use to create your hit points. So Toya, for you, Dr. Winterfield had. Do you remember what for an adept, was it a D8 that you rolled originally? Do you remember?
No. Would the character sheet tell me that?
Probably.
You might have it written in.
But I think I have it anyway. It is D8. So that means that you've got 2 D8s. You could roll both of them if you wish, or you could just roll one of them, or you can roll one at a time to see. Once those are used up, you get half of those back during a long rest. So this is basically like a free, sort of like a free heal, I guess you might call it. So separate from other healing options, this is going to be the way that presumably Titus, Jaraxxus, and Dr. Winterfield would heal themselves if they want to.
So let me understand that. So if I use them both now, I won't be able to use them again
Until
I
you do a
understand it
long
correct?
rest. That's right. Until you do a long rest. A long
Like
rest,
sleep.
you get half of those back. A
Okay.
short rest, you use one or two of them.
And rust can come at any time. Do I understand that correctly?
Well, a short rest can come at any time that you feel like it's safe to do so. I mean, there are places
Yeah.
where it's not safe. A long rest is usually somewhere between 6 to 8 hours. So that obviously, lots of things can come up on you when that happens. And you can only benefit from one long rest in a 24-hour period. Theoretically, you could do more short rests, but obviously you only have so many hit dice. So
And we also found the first aid kit. So how would we use that?
But what I mentioned before was the first aid kit is only to stabilize people when they are at 0 hit points. Instead of having to do medicine checks, you can just use it so they're automatically stabilized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now
That's
I
what
get
that
it.
does.
I will roll my 1 hit die and see what it gets me.
Okay.
Of
Yeah, you
the-
can roll
the
one
two
at a
that I
time and
have.
see how it goes.
I'll do
Mine's the
that
same
too.
as you, Toya, too.
Well,
Well, I think what I'm gonna do.
his log off and not
I
roll
guess
dice for a
no.
while.
So I am gonna take that. Oh, it's the D8 and then plus your con, which for
That's
me
right.
is
That's
just
right.
1.
That's right. Plus your
So
con.
that puts
Yeah.
me at 10. And then to finish for Dr. Jaraxxus, I have no other stuff to restore over a short rest, but I guess as part of this, the what are they called? Complex patterns, which essentially for the Cybermancer are almost like a warlock's invocations, like the little like tiny feats almost. I have that one that I've been using that allows me to cast Innervate, which is a bit like False Life,
Right.
just at will, but it's only ever the first level version. So the maximum I would get from it is
5 temp, right?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
5.
it was
Let me
5, I
Double
think.
check. And I suppose the idea is that in any non-threatening or dangerous or intense situation, I could just. Oh yeah, actually no, it's a bit more. It says you gain 1d4 plus 4 temporary hit points.
Oh, okay.
So
So
if
then go
you
ahead and
want,
roll
we
that
could-
if you want.
Yeah, we
You can
could
do that.
just say I cast it once and then that's what I get.
Yep, I think that's
There
fine.
is a reality where I could just cast it over and over until I get the max.
It doesn't.
But
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, because you can't stack it, but you're just saying until you got the maximum.
right, if I'm in a lax enough situation, maybe.
I mean,
Certainly
how long does
not.
it take you to cast? You know, you said it
It's
at
an
will,
action. Yeah,
but- Oh.
6 seconds.
All right. Well, then I would say the max then. So I would say
Okay.
that's 8 out of 8 because you'll certainly at some point. Well, I don't know, Jaraxxus. Would you actually ever roll an 8 out of 8? Given how you've been rolling. One. Okay.
You're right.
So, all right. So
That's
8
funny.
temp.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Is what we're looking
And
at.
that's great for me too.
Okay.
So yeah, we could say like a short rest, I can just take the max, but like any other situation, I have to roll and then like
Exactly.
stick with it.
That's exactly
Okay.
right. Okay,
All right, that's
Dr.
it for me.
Winterfield, if you're going to roll, so let's have you roll that D8 and we'll add your con modifier to it, if any.
So my con is 10, so that's basically 0, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's going to be just even Steven.
Oops, God. Okay, there. That was correct. So that was 2.
Okay.
Uh,
Want to roll your other one or not?
yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
help either way.
Okay. 13. Okay, so you're out of a hit dice, but you now are up to 13 out of 15, okay? And Titus, what about you? For you, as an engineer,
The D8.
yes, okay, cool. So,
So go ahead and Zach, can you go ahead and roll me one?
Okay, I will. Hey, the tradition is upheld.
amazing. 7
7
points.
out of 8.
So
Yeah.
you're up to 13, Titus, out of 17. Do you want to use your other one or not?
Which
No, I'm good, and So it's +2 of the Constitution, so that means it's
Right.
15. Actually.
Oh, 15. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Yep.
So you hold on to that. All right. And Zerial, of course,
Yep.
just sort of, sort of meditates on the efficiency of and the incredible agility that one possesses to avoid these rolls by just landing properly. Okay. Cool. So that is that. I will give chat, by the way, a heads up that we have about a half hour left. I promised that we would be done by 11:15 at the latest. So I'm going to stick to that. So, but welcome to day 6 of Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Okay. So the crew has done what they need to do. So I guess, where is the crew setting out? Did you decide if you're going south to the forest or east to the dark green?
I think we're going to the forest, but
I do, yes, but I mean, at least entertaining the idea of seeing what is in the direction of the green for a minute or
I'm-
two wouldn't hurt.
fine with that too.
Okay.
I am pro dark green. I don't know if I'm going to be outnumbered.
You
Dark
are,
green
but
sounds fine.
I want to see if we walk on the trail towards the dark green for 2 minutes and then we find other people that just pop into existence, then we'll be like, hey, we should have listened.
Okay. So, as you set off in that direction, again, it's very slick here. Not icy frozen, but it's definitely slick and slippery. So you have to be a little bit careful as you go. And the rain kind of, bites into you. I should ask, are you putting on those environmental bubbles for as long as you can at the start? Because, they're going to run out when they run out. But the point is you get an hour of benefit from them regardless. So the question is, when do you want to do that? Because otherwise you will get soaked quickly.
Is it bad enough to warrant their use right now?
The problem is that it's the accumulation, right, of the effect. It's fine if you were going to be out in cold rain for 5-10 minutes. After about a half hour, that it gets pretty brutal,
Okay.
especially with the cold and the wind too. The wind chill is serious out here.
Mm.
Now, Dr. Winterfield also has a portable shield. Would that offer some protection once the...
Not against the environmental effects, I'm afraid.
Okay.
The shield would be very good against laser pistols, not so much against this, I'm afraid.
Would it
Okay,
be?
I have
Oh,
two
go
questions
ahead.
for you.
Sure, Titus.
Our first is, since there's no official listing for the mini heating unit, what would you like to rule on its use in a moving situation, as in us using it while we're moving?
The mini heating unit. I would say that the mini heating unit is basically like an individual heater. If you were to pass it around basically from person to person, you might be able to squeeze another half hour or so out of it per person. So you could probably get it, like you could use your environmental thing for an hour if you wanted to, and then use the heater thing for about another half hour each before the battery would fail. It wasn't really designed for long-term use, but kind of temporary conditions, basically.
Okay. And then the second question is, how about another item called a weather mesh coat? There's no listing in the book as far as I can find.
A weather mesh coat.
Yep, it's listed under the Explorer's Pack, which also, ironically, still grants me the same thing that I had before, which was the inflatable bed. So
Yes.
I have
Wait, so you're saying we have an inflatable bed in this party too, currently?
I've been trying to hold off for the longest time, but now that we're talking about this particular equipment because of the environmental needs, yeah, we definitely have an inflatable bed.
Oh, we're good, guys. We don't need
Um,
anything else.
I would say that the weather mesh coat. I would say that the weather mesh coat would be the equivalent of a kind of fall weather sort of windbreaker that will keep some rain and wind off of you, but not for very long. So I would say that would be another half hour. That one, however, I am not going to allow you to pass around from person to person because it's all taking the same exposure. So one of you could get the benefit of that extra, half hour of use. So there's a certain visual where Titus is pulling his entire party across the ground. No, I'm just kidding. Wearing his coat. I'm just joking.
No, we're gonna wrap them inside the inflatable bed. I mean, it
Yeah,
smells
sure.
worse on the outside, right?
I'll bet. I love the idea that it's somehow going to survive over the jagged rocks, the bed, it'll just, yeah.
Despite all that, would it be fair to say that keeping at bay the weather's effects would be easier once we get in, if we decide to actually then go into the forest instead? Like, would the forest keep the rain at bay a little bit? The wind would be a little.
You don't know whether there's going to be other impacts with the wind. Will the wind be more focused through the trees and thus be cutting more? It's hard to say. Maybe, but you're not going to know, unfortunately, till you get there.
With all that in mind, then I guess we should start using these now.
I think so. So we'll put them on.
Okay. All right. Assuming you all do that. So
I'm going to use environmental jacket, or not the environmental suit. He's going to use his winter mesh jacket, or his weather mesh jacket.
Is going to use and not the suit?
Yeah, he's going to use the coat. That way he can prolong his the experience.
Okay.
Just in case he's the only one surviving.
Okay.
I'll also Dr. Winterfield will also put on the mesh and then later put on the environmental suit.
Okay. So with that in mind, it takes you probably about a half hour, because again, you have to go, it's not right next to you and you do have to go a little slower. But I would say both of your coats last long enough that you're then able to turn on your environmental suits. So Jaraxxus and Zuriel have a half hour left on it, and the Titus and Dr. Winterfield have an hour left on theirs. As you come to the crystalline forest, and this is an incredible sight as you come close to it, because indeed these were in fact, as you thought you saw, Zuriel, from a distance, at least a half-mile wide field of these crystal formations. The columns range from like 4 to 5 feet in width and reach up to 20 feet high. And their colors, as you can see, and right now I haven't been asking about this yet because of the moon, but as we get into this, you'll be, the crystalline helps reflect it, so you do actually have a little light here to work with. So you can see a bit that there is what looks like almost dark brown and black near the ground, but as the pillars go up and reflect the moonlight higher, you can see they branch out into these red and yellow amber cross patterns above you. The crystals, it must be noted though, are quite sharp. And there are several occasions where you hear this kind of crunching. There is one case where I would say Dr. Winterfield's weather mesh coat is slightly, which I know you have stopped using anyway now, is slightly torn just by like having it hit the ground a little bit and kind of drag along. So it's quite beautiful, but sharp.
Can we take some samples of these crystals? I would like to.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was going to ask to use the microanalyzer on this.
Yes. So A, you can take samples. Zuriel, you can do that. And B, on the microanalyzer, as you run it through, and obviously you don't want to take a super long time out in this environment, but as you run it through, it seems clear that there's something very odd about this pattern, because it does not look to be a naturally occurring crystalline phenomenon. That is to say, the patterns of the crystals are quite regular and oriented in a particular way. It's not, you can't say that it was made, but you can say that this doesn't seem like a naturally occurring phenomenon as you might expect.
This doesn't appear to be made by something sentient, but it is unnatural, this pattern.
Unnatural?
We don't find patterns like this occurring in nature. I'm even wondering, I don't know who would have the skills for this, if like they could mathematically analyze the pattern and see if like the crystal formations and see if they get anything from that, but I don't know what skill that would be.
Maybe someone with computers?
My computer's is plus
Astrophysics
3.
also seem like yeah.
Say again, Titus.
Astrophysics also makes sense because it's complex math. Usually.
Right. I would agree with either of those. I will point out, however, that it will take time.
Well,
We can take a sample and then look at it once we know what we're doing.
fair enough. Fair enough.
The good news, though, or at least, well, I guess the mixed news, is that as you go through, the pillars are wide enough apart that you're able to kind of, navigate your way through. The whooshing of the wind is still here, and you still get the rain, but you have not heard any, repeat, Jaraxxus, of that sound you heard before of the growling. And it's not too long once you get through this. I mentioned that it was half-mile wide, but it's not actually that deep comparatively. And when you get to the other side of it, you realize that you are indeed on the edge of a plateau. The edge of the plateau comes to an end outside here. However, the good news that I mentioned, the mixed news, the good news is that it does look like there is a narrow path below you, probably about 25 feet or so below the surface of the plateau, that seems to wind into what looks like a kind of more forested area. In fact, it might even be the case that the green that you saw, which might be actual non-crystalline forest perhaps, that green might actually meet up with this down below where the plateau is, but you're not 100% sure if that's the case. Just that it definitely seems like more that this path is heading more towards an actual forest. But the only way to get to that path is to, you have to make your way down there, basically. And that means you got to figure out a way to get from the plateau down to that path. If you want to keep going this route.
His rope.
Okay.
Titus is going to take his cable, find the closest crystal
Okay.
that he could secure the rope to, and then basically dangle the rest of the cable, over the edge down
Okay.
towards this path.
That definitely will give you enough to work on, assuming the crystal doesn't snap, but it does seem fairly sturdy. And again, you have to be very careful as you're tying it, Titus, that it doesn't, break in the midst of it. I need you to make a
Do you
survival
sort of
check for
roll
me.
for that?
Say again, Titus. I'm sorry. Yes,
Right.
survival. Yep, that's
I
what
was
I'd like
gonna
you to do.
Hey Zach, can you do that with a +3?
Okay. Are you feeling confident about my luck still? Do you want me to do it? Do you want anyone else to do it?
As long as you're not rolling for you, right?
I'm okay.
Yes. I take
Yeah.
that as a yes. Okay. Now watch. Just because I said that, it's gonna be abysmal. All right, survival 3. Yeah, not the best. 9.
So, you don't know how well that's going to work. It does seem to be attached. You don't know what the benefits are until you actually start taking the rope down.
Well, I will go
Can I
last.
use a Zach ability then?
Yeah, sure, maybe.
Called Fortune's Favor. Add a D6 roll to one ability, attack, or saving throw.
Sounds like a plan.
One per short or long rest.
All right, you
So-
can do that, sure. So an additional
Hey,
1d6.
Zach, you wanna
I can
roll?
say?
Ready?
Okay. 3. So 12.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
take 12.
Okay. You will see the effect that has when you actually start using it down. Who's going to go down first? Kind of make their way down first.
Not it.
I will.
Titus is going to do that.
Oh, okay. Zerial and Titus, battle it out for who gets to go first.
Titus, you're welcome
To
to
the
go
death.
first. Little guy, that's fine. That's whatever.
Titus will go first because he's technically the lightest,
Okay,
and that
Okay.
way you can test it,
sounds good.
and we'll have a little. Yeah, we'll have confidence. All right. So Titus will shimmy down first.
Okay,
Okay.
so the check we're looking for here is either athletics or acrobatics, but you'll be happy to know that because of your success with the tying the rope, you'll do this at advantage. So athletics or acrobatics at advantage. Up to you which one you want to choose.
I will do acrobatics since I have +4 from dexterity. So, hey, Zach, how about a d20 +4, buddy?
Okay, with advantage, right?
Yes,
Arv?
that's right.
Okay, so I'll
Yes, sir.
just do. I'll do this. We'll take the higher. So that's a 16 +4, so 20.
Yeah, you were able to make that with little difficulty. You shimmy down to the path, and now you're at the bottom looking up, Titus. No problem.
Titus is now going to just hold the bottom of the rope and keep it secure just in case somebody else has a problem.
Okay. Ziriel, I think you were up next, if I wasn't mistaken.
All right. So I will head down and roll my dex.
Yeah, we're looking at acrobatics, right? If
Yeah, I'm
you
gonna
have
do acrobatics.
okay.
but
Also
I
at
have
advantage.
Lost the roll 20 window, which is here somewhere. God damn it.
Suddenly Ziriel randomly flails on the rope. You can't see why.
Well, this is really weird because I did have roll 20 here and now I don't see it anymore. But I'm sorry, it's just too many windows for me sometimes.
No, it's no problem.
Let me reconnect and see if we can do it there.
I know that feel.
Okay. Okay, so it's +2 if you're proficient, right? And we're doing acrobatics?
You would be doing, yeah, you would do an acrobatics check, although the acrobatics may incorporate the proficiency for you. I'm not sure, but yes, that's right.
Whoops, that's so wrong. 1 second.
127. You redefine acrobatics.
No.
You just
Let's try that
parkour
again.
off the planet and
Okay, let's try 19.
okay. Yes, that's actually, and you do it. Can you do it at advantage? So just roll that one more time, just in case something is incredibly amazing.
You don't think the 127 was?
Well, I mean, listen, that was
Okay.
incredible.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to the
We'll stick
19.
with the 19.
No problem, Ziriel. You two were able to make your way down with little difficulty. You avoid stepping on Titus as you get to the bottom.
Okay. Fair
ne-
enough.
Who's next?
Well, as I'm sure Dr. Draxus will go last, I will go next. And Dr. Winterfield's acrobatics is less awful than her athletics
Okay.
with a dexterity of 11.
Okay.
So.
Still at advantage, so that's good.
Dr. Draxus will be standing on the edge of the cliff with his recording unit, just kind of waving, and he'll be like, "Oh,
Watch out for that little handhold right there. There you go.
Okay, so we got 11 plus. What did you say? You have 11. Okay, so pretty much an 11. And then one more because you're rolling at advantage, so you get to roll that again.
Oh, okay.
Yee. So, so let's see. So we're looking at a. You had a +1 on this or a +0 on the. Did we
My
say?
my dexterity is 11.
Okay. So, so I think what we're looking at is I'm going to take this stuff with this. Right. So still +0. Okay. You have a little trouble, Dr. Winterfield. I'd say it's fair to say. So you get about halfway down, and then the cable, which is a little slick from the wet of the rain, you slip on the cable. Now, Ziriel and Titus are on the bottom here, which will help. I will give either one of them. I don't think both of you are going to be able to do this, but I'll give either one of you an opportunity to make a dexterity check, not a saving throw, but a check, to kind of keep Dr. Winterfield from slamming into the ground. Up to you who wants to.
It should probably be, unless Ziriel has anything higher than a +4.
Go ahead. You're good. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, Titus will do what he can at the bottom there. +4, Zach. Can you do that for me, please?
"Yep."
Thank you, sir.
9.
That is probably not going to get it done. You slip.
Come on. No bonus because I was already doing that job anyway.
Well,
I mean,
what?
I did say that. So
well, this is why, right? This is why you have a check, because you were actually doing the job.
right.
Yeah, you could have just walked away.
Right, exactly. So what I need you to do for me, please, Dr. Winterfield, is I need you to make a dexterity saving throw to see if you can land more on your feet than on your back, basically.
This is with the 20.
Right. And this one's not at advantage, I'm afraid.
Okay. Well,
Well, shoot. Okay, so let's talk about the damage that's going to be.
this is why we rolled the D8 twice.
Mhm.
Yes.
You are going to take 7 points of damage as you slam into the ground with a resonant thud. And above where you're still filming, Dr. Daraxis, you hear a little bit of a tink, 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 tinkle as the crystal kind of, a couple little bit of crystal shards tinkle off from the pillars at the below. You're at the bottom though, Dr. Winterfield. Positive. So
Are you okay? I didn't quite get that. One more time.
Come closer and I'll show you.
Oh,
thought you're gonna be like louder for the fans. Okay. Right. That leaves destruction. Go ahead, Titus.
Hold on a second.
Sure.
Titus is going to let go of the bottom of the rope, walk over to, or run over to Dr. Wonderful, and use mend on her.
Okay. You can do that.
What does men do? What
Hold
that
on,
men
I'll
do?
read it to you in just a second. Creature you touch regains hit points to 1d8 plus your forging ability modifier. Doesn't have. You're not an automation or a construct, are you there, Doctor?
Are you?
Not that I am aware. I have been called such things and worse.
Okay, so yeah, it's gonna be a +2, I believe. And Zach, can you do a d8 +2, please?
Is the engineer's intelligence based?
I thought it was.
No,
Or
here, let me
maybe
look.
you're right. Maybe it's with the date. Hold on a second. Let me double check. It is.
No, it says wisdom. For
Yeah, so it's
engineer.
+3.
Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, jeez. All right, I rolled the lowest possible, but that's still 4.
Okay. So that brings Dr. Winterfield up to 10 instead of 15, instead of 6.
Oh.
So
I am grateful, Dr. Titus.
Titus bows his head and then moves back to the end of the rope and just holds it extra tight for one Dr. Daraxis.
All right. So given that I just looked at the recording unit, I noted that it has the functionality to be used, handheld, or it can be attached to the head.
oh,
So
we're gonna GoPro
I
it.
will
Is that
GoPro
how we're
it.
doing
It actually says in the rules of Esper Genesis, you can GoPro it.
Okay.
So I'll do that, and
You're obligated to play punk music while sliding down the rope, just to be clear.
I'll add it in post. Yeah, the doctor, as this character will, he's going to go down, super chauvinistically and, with his, it's like showing every handhold and looking down and making it as cinematic as possible, even though he's actually genuinely pretty afraid. But yeah, so this is a acrobatics or athletics.
Or
you said?
athletics. Yep, that's right. Added advantage.
Okay, all right. I have a 0 bonus to this, so here we
Outstanding.
go. I'll just do the double roll. We'll take the higher one. So 10 total, just 10.
Okay, so 10 total. Right. So with a 10, we have mentioned before this what happens when you slip.
Yeah.
So again, Titus and Zariel, and I guess Dr. Winterfield could theoretically try to help here too.
With
if
her
you-
no dexterity have herself.
I
Sure.
was going to say like one of the three of you. So it's up to you who wants to try to save Dr. Draxus from himself, so to speak.
Ariel, do you want to try it this time, or should I go for it again?
Sure.
Okay, so just a
What am I rolling?
you're making a dexterity check for me, Zariel, to see if you can catch Dr. Draxus.
Or help him fall even faster?
You're right. Yeah.
11.
11. So, I love the image of this, by the way, and I just want you all to imagine the opening to the great Beastie Boys song Sabotage as Dr. Draxus is going, I can't stand it, as he hits the ground. So, slams into the ground, I am afraid,
Mhm.
and is going to take, let's see, is going to take 8, which is going to remove all of the temporary hit points previously
Right.
described,
Yeah.
and hits the ground with a bang and lies on the ground. Good news is your camera's still functional. Like, so
Yeah.
it's just pointed up.
I land, and I suppose you see this like nicely tailored vest that the doctor wears, a Esper shield of like glass or Esper power like shatters as his temporary hit points go away.
Mhm.
But he gets up, dusts himself off. Hey, I'm glad I got that celebrity insurance, huh? And kind of stumbles a little bit.
All right. Where are we now? And how do we get the rope down? Or do we?
That's that second question's an excellent question. I could tell you the first part quickly is the passage seems to lead down indeed to the southeast, and then into what does indeed look like a natural forested area, probably about 10 minutes walk from where you are. Gets much darker down there because you don't have the benefit of the crystalline reflections, but it also seems like the rain is going to be more blocked down there. So give up a little, get a little. As far as the rope, how do you want to try to get it back or not?
I look at
Can
Titus.
we retrieve it without injuring anyone?
Or,
I think we need to leave it.
yes, how will we get back up now that I think about it? Well, onwards, I suppose.
Onwards.
This
Why
time,
not?
I will lead the way.
Very well.
Now, I do have a question. Do any of you have either the ability to see in darkness or natural sort or some kind of source of light that you have with you? There were actually, I think I know the answer to that question because you did find things I think that help with this.
Right. Yeah, Titus found yeah.
Yep. So when it looks like it's fully charged, Titus, like it looks like you could probably get 3-4 hours out of it probably. So that probably is okay.
I have dark vision.
Okay.
It looks like
Go to
I have a flashlight from my just from my equipment too.
Okay.
So I'll play that as like a miner's helmet flashlight
Okay.
with the camera kind of thing.
Okay. Sounds good. With that said, as the party makes their way on, takes you, as I said, about another 15 minutes or so. So it's now been about an hour-ish or so since you left. And as you are entering the forest, just beforehand, you hear above you this beyond the whooshing of the wind. This sounds like a loud and almost pulsating sound of whooshing. Just a moment before, assuming you all look up to see the source of it, I assume you all do, but tell me if you're like, no, I keep my... Right. A massive winged creature emerges in the sky beyond the peaks above, and you can see it reflected in the crystalline pillars behind you some distance now and above you, and the
So
twin
cool.
moons. The natural light reveals its reptilian form. It has deep red scales and a long spined tail, and it soars high above you, heading directly toward where the Sunriders' crash site is. Pays no attention to you at all. Like, just...
What? What the frow?
And then it's gone.
Oh my god.
Well, I suppose we made it down just in time, didn't we?
And I got it on camera. What was that? And it's heading towards the ship.
I believe there are ancient tales of such a beast. Were they called dragons?
Is that a human mythology?
Yes. There were several different tales of dragons across the planet. Almost every civilization had some version of it.
What can they do?
Well, breathe fire, hoard treasure jealously.
Great. Oh, treasure. Hmm.
Well, the crash site wouldn't be the treasure, but I'm sure that it's looking for something to take back to its lair.
Okay.
We're not
well,
going to its lair.
What do we do?
No, we're not going to its lair.
I don't have a. Oh, jeez. Well, do we just say, good luck, crew, let's go explore a forest? Or go back and try to save them? Or at least.
How are we going to get up there in time?
Yeah,
It's
how are we
already
gonna-
Is there
there.
any contact?
I'm sorry, say that again,
Any
Titus.
radio, is there any radio contact with the ship?
Nope. There's contact among the four of you, but there's no contact back to the ship. Because, again, lack of communication, power, and computer systems on board the ship.
Titus, you seem pretty quick, or anyone else who's dexterous, certainly not me. If you want, could someone scramble back up there and still hide in the crystal forest, maybe? And just see from a distance what is going on, maybe? I can give you my camera.
Titus is going to grab his camera and shimmy back at the coil.
So you're going to have to get back to it first. Be aware. So that means you got to run back up. And I think I said it was
We-
like about a
We were
half hour
walking
back
for-
up the other way.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah, you've been
I
walking
didn't know
for
it
a
was
while
that
until you got
long.
here. You didn't,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe not in that case. Jeez.
So, as a part of the explorer's kit, there's a flare or a series of flares. Are those just hand flares, like stuff that you just like you crack open and then you just like use or you drop, or are they the ones that shoot into the sky?
They do not shoot, unfortunately. These are the ones that you put like when your 18-wheel space truck breaks down.
Right. Okay. Never mind.
Well, geez. That's a half hour back. But I mean, the reason why we came out here was to try to find more materials, more foods, more something. We're certainly not, like you said, we're not going to make it back in time to save them. So,
No.
If
Do we-
anything could save them, perhaps it would be difficult for the dragon to actually claw the ship open.
right. Do we want to forage here and scope out a safe place? And Arv, did you say there was some other landmark? It wasn't a cave or something, was
No, just the path leading into this forested area,
it?
basically.
Okay, all right. We could forage, try to find a place to camp, and then head back. I don't know. What do you think?
That seems right here before rather than going in down the path. I'm pro that.
Titus is in agreement.
Okay. So you're
I'm
gonna
sure we could also hear that thing again if it should take off.
Hmm.
so you're gonna set up camp or not camp, but like do a little bit of like right outside the forest, basically, before going into it, if I'm understanding correctly.
Like right on the edge, so we
Yeah.
can take advantage of it for shelter.
Okay.
And yet
Yeah.
not so close that like things drop out of trees onto our heads.
If it seems more like it gives us more cover, and like you said, it's going to get darker in there, that might be of benefit to us,
Okay.
Yeah.
like from this dragon. So maybe we will head in like a little bit and then
Okay.
camp inside or something.
When you get inside, just about 10 minutes or so, which is enough to get inside, there is in fact less water here, like less sort of, and you begin to set up a little bit. There are spaces around you where you can do this, and it is indeed look like a kind of fairly dark green, fairly dense, but not overwhelmingly so forest. Your flashlight catches sight, I would say, whoever has the flashlight.
Both me and Titus.
Okay, so Titus, yours and Jaraxus's catches a small group of small, round, bird-like creatures approaching from further down the path. And the largest one appears injured, struggling to lead the path as it hops and hobbles along. And in fact, I have a picture of this, which I will show you on stream. And it looks a little bit like this. So you can see this is what this creature looks like. Very sweet and cute looking.
Oh. Yeah, just covering Johnny's photo with it.
At the moment.
Yeah. I don't think he would mind. Okay.
And the one in front actually stops and kind of huddles, seeing you.
Oh.
How
Alright.
far away is it from
About
us?
20 feet.
So technically, Dr. Winterfield could try to communicate with it because she does have what's the trait? Yeah, just basically the ability to communicate with creatures within 30 feet.
Okay. So, Dr. Winterfield,
Dangerous.
you go over to communicate with it, if I'm understanding correctly?
I would like to ask everybody else. Would you like me to try to communicate with it? Is there anything we should ask it?
I would like you to be careful because anything that cute could be very, very dangerous.
Oh, I don't think so. It's adorable.
You hear a little
Yeah,
sound.
be careful.
Oh, it seems scared. Maybe, my suggestion, I certainly don't think we should eat the things. That is not on the table at all.
Well, we don't
Not
know
good
if
habit.
it could be poisonous.
Right. So maybe they need to eat something. And I think we all have physiologies that support vegetarianism. Why don't you ask them where they get their food?
Is everyone on board with that? I know Ziriel
Sure.
is.
I don't know that this will go well, but let's see what happens.
It's a trap.
Titus?
It's a trap.
We
Well,
will see.
Dr. Jaraxus, it looks like you are outnumbered.
Well, what are your votes then? We attack and kill the things?
No, I'm willing to see what happens. I mean,
I could tell it that we are non-threatening.
Sure.
What do you think, Titus?
Titus puts his hands discreetly on his laser pistol.
Is there a
Okay.
history of dangerous, cute little chicken creatures on your homeworld, Titus?
Titus just nods his head and just keeps his eyes on the cute little creatures.
Okay, so Dr. Winterfield is going to let little hamster chicken things know that the group is non-threatening. So, hello. What a beautiful world this is. We want to let you know that we mean you no harm. We ourselves are looking for shelter. Would you know the best place for us to go?
So you say you communicate this to them. Also, how close do you yell this at them, or like are you?
No, I speak very non-threateningly, and I'm friendly. I'm cordial.
Right, but how close is what I'm wondering.
Well, you said they're like what, about 20 feet away?
That's right.
So I say it loudly enough to be heard.
Okay, from the 20 feet. So you say this, and the one that's in front, the one that looks injured, is like, "Hmm," and it just slightly goes forward a little bit, like it's trying to understand, and it kind of tips its head, kind of comes closer. And then with its jaws open, it leaps up at you, and that is where we're going to bring our session to a close. For today.
Oh my god, you guys are right.
Oh,
Oh
Well,
my God.
Titus does have is ready to shoot. So
Wow.
Man.
Everyone's like, told you, nailed it.
Oh my god.
I love the two pictures, though. I just love the second picture. I was like, I was so desperate
my
not
God,
to
you're
show.
right.
I was so desperate
Oh
not
my
to put the
God.
wrong picture on screen.
That's
'Cause I'm like,
terrifying.
I was like, look, he's super adorable and cute. Or is he? Like,
That's terrifying. Oh my god.
very excited to talk about this combat when we play next time. Now that the
Mhm.
party's made its way down there, we have a little bit longer, it appears, for Planetfall, but we will wrap in our next session. And what we'll do is we'll switch over in next session to D&D. I think we'll be able to still do that. So, but I do want to make sure that we bring this to a close.
I mean, I will just say, we were going to fight with them things, whatever happened. They were going to come at us no matter what happened. That's all I'm gonna say. There was no way out of that.
Yeah. It was
Might
totally
as well
worth
try
it.
to be diplomatic.
It was worth it for chat to feel very smug about what was going to happen. Good stuff tonight, everybody. Really enjoyed getting back in the saddle for this, and you got right into it. Crash landing, crystalline structures, lots of exploration, couple of interesting incidents with a rope, and some gentle creatures that are going to try to chew your faces off. I think it's all going to work well. I will start with Zach and work back up. Zach, good stuff again today with Dr. Jaraxxus. I love the GoPro image with this. Thank you very much, Emily
Thanks,
the
Emily.
Invincible. That actually combined with Hillness and with Mighty Murph from before means that we are up to now 5,600 bits. So that's great. Remember, chat, this goes directly to the players. So we distribute this. So any cheers that you do right now is going to go directly to them. So thank you very much for that, Emily. So yes, again, Zach, it was interesting to see Jaraxxus GoProing it and all that. And then, as you say, the fact that the hull didn't quite work out, you had to think a little bit about that too.
Thanks, Dragon Spear.
So there was that. Thanks, Dragon Spear. Another 400. Thank you. So now we're up to 6,000. That's great. Thank you, Dragon Spear. So yeah, so it's interesting to see how that all went down, and I'll be interested to see how Jaraxxus handles this next bit of awesome rolling content of these creatures. How'd you feel about today? Where will the fine folks find you next? Thank you, Drew, very much for another 200. Thank you.
Hype train.
How'd you feel about today? Yep, it's a hype train. How'd you feel about today?
I felt great. It's such a pleasure for me personally, having to DM all the time and finally being able to be a player again. And being a player here is such a treat. Like the other players that I get to sit alongside, that two of whom I've known for a long time, and then having Toya join us as well, and with that new dynamic and blending right in with the rest of us, and it's just an absolute pleasure. And then also Arv, your ability to take what this module that's been created and then GM it perfectly, and like the picturesque images of like the dragon overhead with the crystals, like, oh my god, jeez. So
I had fun with the dragon. That was just like, ooh. It was nice. It was
and
fun.
terrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of fun, a great absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait to have my face eaten off by crazy space gerbils, and then head back to our D&D lot. So
Yes.
that is me. You'll find me here on this channel for this show. Excuse me. Also for our vocalists, where we are going to go back to Citizen Sleeper now that we've done the Christmas Carol extravaganza.
Yeah.
And then also for other things in the near future related to this channel. Unrelated to this channel, you'll find me back at my channel sometime in 2023. Who even knows anymore? I have a lot of other things that have been coming up, great things, cool things, new connections that I will be privy to speak of when they are relevant. But otherwise, I'm DMing professionally. So if anyone in chat is ever looking for a party or other event to be DM'd through Zoom or through Discord, that's the type of thing that I do. I've also gotten the chance to do a couple in-person ones recently and break out the physical miniatures, which since COVID, it's been a while. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
Yep.
So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. Good stuff. And I'll see you back for all of those things. Moving right on over. I think I did Kat was next, I think, and then Detoya, if I'm not mistaken. Kat, it was a pleasure to have you back in the saddle again with Ziriel. And Ziriel had a chance to actually start using some of the dexterous things for which Ziriel should be known. The gunner, the crystalline pillars, that was a good thing she blasted away, quite obviously. And then being able to kind of assess, you were the first one to actually set foot on this planet and look around and actually see what was out there to be seen. And, you know, the trivial matter of going down a rope with no problem, like being blown out of a seat, landing with no problem epically, you know, that's all part of the mix. So it was good to see you back involved with this again. How did you feel about today, and where will the fine folks find you next?
Well, I gotta say, it really is a pleasure running a dexterous character after Petra's every once in a while just being like, well, there's that 6 again.
It's true.
So it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the game. Where will you find me? I am frantically finishing up getting ready for the Christmas sale for the Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers. Please check us out. Sign up for the newsletter. Melanie Storm just wrote up a really nice thing about having taken a couple of classes up for File 770. Very nice.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And I look forward to seeing you more in the maybe the end of this year, but if not, certainly in the year to come. So thank you, Kat. Now we're up to also thank you to those who contributed while we've been doing the outros. 6464. So we're now synergistic numbers, as Dragon Spear said. Thank you, everybody. Moving right up to Toya. Toya, great stuff today out of Dr. Winterfield, although may not have felt that way when the sort of landing on the back. Arudinel said in chat at one point, I think after Dr. Duraxis, what a beautiful view of the winter sky, you know, right above you. There's the sky landing on your back. So it was a little bit, you kind of took it on the chin or on the back, I suppose. But your ability to decide where to land on the plateau was important, as was the decision about possibly where to go, even though you got outvoted in terms of where to go. That whole seeing the green area was something which played in a bit to being able to see the path later on. So that certainly had value, and, you know, trying to communicate with the creatures normally would be a good idea. And I'm sure these charming little things will totally understand the error of their ways. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I had some bad rolls, had some decent rolls. Everybody is still alive and maintains most of their health. So that's good. You know, nobody's almost dead. I am looking forward to fighting these murderous space gerbils because I want to inflict some pain. And I got some tricks for them that they don't know about.
Charming.
You know, you don't want to talk to me? Okay, I got something else for you. So I'm looking forward to that. And Keiko stayed on my left the whole time. So.
Aw, see? Understood the value of support in that system.
Yes, you would not murder everybody with the dog in my lap.
No, absolutely
that wasn't going to
not.
happen.
I mean, that's fearsome. That would definitely, no, absolutely not.
Chat, can we get some kisses for Keiko? Chat.
Exactly. How about some bits for Keiko? Keiko bits. How about some Keiko kibbles and bits? Some cheers and bits. Toya, anything you want to quickly mention that where you might be seen next elsewhere besides here? Convention appearances, etc.
I don't go anywhere really. I don't do much. I'm not very active on social media. I will say that I have a book coming out very early in 2023 that it is about designing and writing visual novels. So
Oh, very cool. That's
Sounds
super
like
awesome.
I need to get that.
By the way, it should also be mentioned. I don't know that I've had a chance to mention it before, but Toya is on the organizing committee of the Gen Con Writers Symposium with us, and it has been a pleasure. Toya's been a member of the symposium for a number of years, but it's been a real pleasure to have Toya on the organizational area as well, and has contributed a ton. So I want to do publicly thank you, Toya, for that and for the amazing work there, and all that kind of good stuff. And also,
thanks for
of course,
that,
Brian
Arv.
here. Yeah. No, for sure. So great pleasure to have Toya with us, and Happy New Year and all that if I don't see you on the 31st. Last but certainly not least, same to Kat and Zach, by the way. And last, certainly not least, Johnny, thank you for remoting in, even though Zach was doing your rolls. I don't know, you need to do this more often. Maybe if, you roll Zach's rolls for Jiraxis and you just roll, have him roll yours, it'll all be good. But you managed to make it through, and you were one of the suspicious ones about these small innocent creatures that weren't so innocent, so maybe you turned out to be right about that. But in any case, I'll be curious to see how Titus handles things, not just with that, but with this exploration. How'd you feel about today? Where will the fine folks find you next?
So, in a fantasy world, anything small and cute is going to be cute and fantasy. In a sci-fi world, anything small and cute is going to eat your face. Haven't you people watched any of these movies or read any of these books? I mean, like, I just kind of, it was always a trap. So it was a nice play though. Otherwise, it was a lot of fun. It's interesting not rolling and getting great rolls. So thank you, Zach. Always. I do appreciate that. It was great fun phoning in, and thanks for the game, Greg. Thanks for the game, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to try to survive the holidays, and we'll hopefully either see you next week or see you in the new year. And happy holidays, everybody here and in chat.
Sounds good, Johnny. Thank you. Safe travels. And to all of the wonderful players, chat, can we get some love one last time for this amazing crew? Very excited to continue this either the 31st or early next year. Thank you, everybody, to Johnny Pittman, to Kat Rambo, Toya Kristen Finley, and, of course, Zach Clay. Thank you all. And players, we will see you all soon. Bye for now. All right. So that's going to do it. That was a really fun little thing, because there was a lot going on in it, and I mean little only in the sense that it was like not a super long session, but I really enjoyed being able to kind of get back into this. I really do enjoy the universe this has been created here by Alligator Alley, and I really appreciate some of the things of the designs. You can almost feel, chat, this thing's starting to come together. You got the dragon, you've got so we're moving in that direction, and I was very excited to see what they were going to do with those creatures. I was like, I wonder if they will, I was really worried too when Toya was like, well, it's like I start talking, I'm like, how close are you when you start talking to them? It was fun. But I am excited to see how that happens, and excited to see how the party navigates this strange new world. So we will see how that goes. Totally do. Yeah, that's a good call, Rudnell. They totally do. I'll have to talk to Eric, Rich, and Chris and the powers that be at Alligator about that, because that would be pretty cool. But I now am going to rise up on out of here. It is the 23rd, y'all, and tomorrow is December 24th, otherwise known as Christmas Eve, and that means yours truly is going to be responsible for making sure that I distribute last-minute presents, keeping the doors open for Santa, if you know what I'm saying. That's going to be happening as well, and I'm very pleased to be able to do stuff like that and then join all of you folks. So I will be here tomorrow night. It will be after the kids, particularly the youngest, has gone to bed, but I will join you folks tomorrow, and we'll see in Santa, so to speak, as we play some Ghost of Tsushima. What is better, I think, for the Christmas season? What is better to herald Santa's arrival than a warrior trying to eliminate his people from murderous invaders by using a sharp sword and awesome armor? Like, what better sort of fits this? Like, how does this all How does this all, what could be better? But I am excited to continue with that, and we will do so going forward. And Hot Springs, that's true. And Hot Springs, which we definitely will need now. It was funny. While the dragon was floating overhead, while the dragon is flying over, right at the time it was doing it, like outside my window, it was just like, and I was like, okay, I gotcha. So that was happening. And for those who missed this, by the way, two non-related to this campaign announcements. First of all, for those of you who missed it, my Greyshade novel from Athos Arts has officially earned out. I was informed by Chris and Emily today that my novel has earned out, which means I will be earning royalties on future sales of this book, which is very exciting. It's my third book to have earned out, actually all this year, I think, because Icarus has earned out. The Forbidden Library, Tales and Notes of the Forbidden Library has earned out, and Greyshade has earned out. So that was very exciting, and I'm grateful to everyone who has bought the books, and I hope that a lot more do, because that's all going to be now royalty money now. And I'm excited for that. So yeah, I'm very pumped up for that. Congrats on becoming royalty. It's been quite a year. And we're going to be talking about that quite a bit next week. Next week is going to be an interesting thing. We've got, first of all, I should mention that the second non-campaign related thing is that No One Lives Forever 1 was the winner of the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month. And so Dragonspear gets his wish. I'll be playing, at least for one session, No One Lives Forever. So that'll be happening on Tuesday. I'm sure Dragon is excited. That'll be happening on Tuesday. And then Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 4:15 actually, I'll be over on GOG Comms Twitch channel for the final D&D session of the year, because it's going to be D&D with GOG Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And that's going to be happening on Tuesday. Then I will be off Wednesday, Thursday, and then we've got Friday, which is probably going to be my Game of the Year show. Friday night is probably going to be when I go through and list my games of the year, all the games I played, rank them, and I'm also going to talk about the year that was in 2022, the year to come in 2023. So I'm going to be excited. My other ones did not earn out this fast. Part of that is, of course, because a lot of those sales are calculated based on initial Kickstarter orders. So a lot of people did order that book through the Kickstarter originally, but still, Drew, like a sale's a sale, right? And so people supported it because a lot of them because they wanted to read the book. And so it still counts, but it definitely means the success of the Kickstarter definitely helped jumpstart that sale process. But it's still, I'm very excited about it because I think I feel very good about this series. I think the Grey Assassin trilogy is a good trilogy that I'm proud of, and I think that the story and line and the characters and all that are good, and so I'm excited to see how that goes. So there's that that I wanted to mention. And then on Saturday the 31st, again, this is somewhat up in the air. I may be playing a second session of this campaign. Actually, let me turn off the awesome Space Explorer music. It was great, but it feels a little weird for what I'm talking about right now. So we may play a little bit of that on Saturday, but it also is going to be dependent on family structure things, because I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to do that on Saturday. My father-in-law is coming into town, and so I may not be able to do that. And what might end up happening is I might just end up having to do it as like a video game stream later, because it's possible that everyone will just be asleep and I'll just see in the new year with all of you folks. But I don't want to make the players wait that long, because we normally start earlier. So the 31st is very up in the air. We'll see. But as I say, starting in January, we're back to twice a month. I really want that to be the case. And especially now that I've found out that the Adventures in Middle-earth characters, the players are going to stay the same, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. Now that I know that, and that the day is going to stay the same, that means that I won't have to try to move things around as much as I thought I did. So it means that Eberron is going to remain on Saturdays, and it means that this is going to remain on Saturdays, and that leaves that means Shire Adventures will happen on Tuesdays, and that means we can keep D&D with GOG Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and we can keep Talisman Adventures on that as well. So I'm very excited about that. That's funny, Arudno. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure. Part of it is the laughter about the life that was, right? Not just the sadness of what's been lost. So it's a good combination. I get that. So anyway, yeah, so that's the deal with that. Now, for those of you who did not hear this, that was the excellent news, which is that it looks like we will be able to keep all the 4 players together for Shire Adventures, Brad, Tari, Amal, and Tren. So we'll be able to keep the 4 players together, and it looks like we'll be able to keep them on Tuesday. What may end up happening is that I may end up flipping my GOG streams with my with my channel streams. So instead of doing 12 to 3:15 or so, 12 to 3:15 to 3:30 on my channel, and then 4 to 7 or 7:15 on GOG, I may switch that, and I may do GOG first, and I might do that and then come over to do my channel for the second stream. So it would stay on Tuesday. And that's the best sort of possible scenario, because based on everything, there was a real chance as I was looking at it that I wasn't going to be able to keep everyone because time zones just didn't work and job scenarios didn't work. But that would be, if we do the 4 to 7, that's ideal for Brad. It's pretty much works for Amal, because it means that Amal will have maybe either 4 to 7 or 5 to 8, maybe like 1 hour shaved off the time that she's got to do work stuff, but that should be okay. It's functional for Tren. As long as Tren knows about it ahead of time, he can make the adjustment to his schedule, and it makes it possible for Tari, because Tari will be able to be up a little bit later, since it's those Tuesdays in her office that she's going to be soundproofing and stuff like that. So that way we keep those 4 players together, which I'm really glad. I mean, they have good chemistry together. I wanted to keep them together. So that's good that they'll be able to do that with our Shire Adventures campaign. I have gotten the sponsorship money from Free League, which I am very honored for. And I'm very grateful to them. And so the music and video is literally already in production, and the overlays. And in case anyone's curious, the overlays are being done by none other than Tari Tunes. Tari Tunes herself is going to be doing these overlays. And the video is going to be done by the amazing Peripheral Mike, who's done the video that literally opened this campaign. So very excited about that. That's all great news. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Electrodon? You played for the first time on the 17th on your birthday. Derek the Dwarf Cleric kept trying to use your hammer as a ladder. Well, welcome in, Electrodon. You're in the right spot if you like D&D. We are a big fan of that game here, so welcome. Yes, so very excited that Tari's going to be doing the overlays, and very happy that Free League is backing us up with this. That's really awesome. Yeah, with real money that they have stepped up to the plate, and we are sponsored by them, which is great. So I'm very grateful to Free League. And yeah, so that's going to be happening in the new year. So that all looks great. And as far as I'm concerned, it works out to the same. If I'm going normally basically 12 to about 7 with a break in between, I'm still going to be going 12 or 1 o'clock to about 7 or 8 o'clock with a break in between. So it pretty much works the same for me. So that's about the best case scenario and allows us to all stay together. So that's good. I'm glad about that. And we've got other things coming up in the new year. As I mentioned, I teased this out before. ArvCon, for those of you who have always said, the only thing we're missing with ArvCon is an in-person component, some kind of in-person event that's associated with it. You may not have long to wait, he said archly. You will have a chance to hear more about this when we talk more about it in the new year. But ArvCon 2023 is going to be pretty badass, folks, based upon information and evidence that I've gotten there. Plus, I've gotten some other stuff. I got another full manuscript request from an agent for my middle grade novel. And so, yeah, so good stuff. And I'm very happy about that. So, yeah, it's all good. And I am really grateful to everybody. It's true. Well, he basically changes things over depending on when he has projects due and how he has to do it. And it's fine, Arudinel, so long as he knows long enough that he can make the adjustment. The issue is when it's like, okay, today we have to do this. Wait, sorry, we have to reverse this and make it. That's when he runs into trouble. So letting him know ahead of time is really going to be the key. So yes, so that's the deal with that. And I do want to thank all of you again. We ended up with 64 bits for this one. So thank you everybody for that. Those bits, of course, will be distributed, and any money that we get during the sessions for Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks gets distributed to the players. So thank you everybody for that. That is much appreciated. And yeah, I am very excited to be able to do that and to bring that on to everybody. But I'm going to rise up on out of here now. We are going to do a raid, though, because it is not super late. So we are going to do a raid, and the raids here are quite simple. Also, by the way, thanks to the amazing Alligator Alley Entertainment for sponsoring us here. Oh, I didn't show you all this. Maybe, I don't think I showed you this, but I wanted to mention this one. Where'd it go? If I did show you this, I'm showing it to you again, and if not, when I was at PAX Unplugged a couple of weeks ago, I was able to get a physical copy of this, of the threats database from Esper Genesis, from which I am using things, and I even got a signature page. See, I think I did actually show this now that I think of it when I was talking about PAX, but that's all right. This is the campaign that was sort of coming off of Esper Genesis. So come on, focus. There we go. Beware the technocracy. Greg, thank you for sharing all your journeys with us. That's Eric, I believe. No, that was Rich. And then this is Eric. Greg, have fun. Thanks for showing players the fun on stream. Regards, Eric. So again, this is gorgeous. And all they have to do now is do the print copies of the Master Technician's Guide. I really hope at some point that they can actually fight this, mostly so I can show this picture a lot. The Blazing Velbast. How'd you like to meet that dude in a dark alley? So we'll see. Yeah, it looks like a forgery, yeah. So anyway, that was very cool. And I forgot to mention that I had not shown that. I think I showed it once, but on the PAX thing. So thank you again to Alligator Alley for being awesome. Okay. With all of that said, I know exactly who we're going to raid today. The way the raids work are very simple. If you are not a sub, easy target. That's true. You would see it from a long way off. If you're not a sub, you're going to do this. The Argonauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid. Lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, you're going to do this. Argonauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid. Arvany Roar, Arvany Witch, Arvany Woe, Arvany Hype, Arvany Smug, Arvany Love, Arvany Blown, all the Arvanys, when you are brought over automagically during the course of the raid. Good for you, good for everybody, good for us. So if you could do that, that would be lovely. Also, remember to support the channel in the ways that I've mentioned before. Please follow the channel. Please sub to the channel if you haven't done so already. Support us by checking out our YouTube. Subscribe to us over there. That's free. ! ArvTube. Discord! ArvCord, as was previously mentioned a couple of minutes ago. ! Arv Tweets is our Twitter. Website arvanelleron.com. Financially, it is ! ArvShop. And ! ArvTreon is the Patreon, which is currently making its way back up. We're almost back up to 200 and then hopefully going north of that. So I'm really grateful that people have re-upped and jumped back on board. That's great to see. So we're making very positive progress there. Also, subbing to the channel, as I mentioned, you can get those custom sub badges and emotes to use here, there, and everywhere across Twitch. That is really helpful, plus inspirations to help our players. You can get those inspirations from the Patreon as well. On the publishing side, again, ! Icarus for my graphic novel from Athos Arts. ! Library for Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and ! Greyshade for my novel, which is now earned out, as I mentioned. That is going to be available, or that is rather available was available on May 31st. But if you go over there, you can not only order a copy of that, but you can also pre-order Renegade, which is coming out next year, only about 8 days more that I can say that before it actually is next year. Renegade is next year. Heretic is the year after that, 2024. The tabletop role-playing game by Brandon O'Brien will be coming out next year. That's going to be awesome. I'm super excited to show that on stream as well. And of course, we've got the audiobook by one Trent Sparks, which will also be coming next year. So it's going to be great stuff. I'm very pumped up for it. And yeah, all that is at ! Greyshade. Last but certainly not least, ! BLM, Black Lives Matter. Again, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. ! Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. At ! Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war, and to help send a message that we will do this to help others in that situation. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream today. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Arudinel, Dragonspear, Drew the Damager. Thank you to Emily the Invincible. Thank you to Hillness. Thank you to Triffid. Thank you so much as well to my Patreon supporters and subscribers. First of all, those best mods in the business. Also, thank you to my Patreon supporters and subscribers, Arudinal, Dragonspear, Drew, Emily, Hillness, Triffid, Mighty Murr, and Mrs. Dunsel. Thank you for all of that support. Thank you to my viewers. Thank you to Zero One Ella. Thank you to Odyssea. Thank you to Cat Rambo, Darksteel Spork, Drapsnat, Galadriel Bot, who's totally not a bot. Thank you to Harlequin. Thank you to Holtz, Carmen, Jagtris, J-Rab, and Nonstopped. No, I meant to say Damager, though. I mean, maybe, but, you know, if you damage. That's the key, I think. But thank you, everybody, so much for being here. And thanks especially tonight to my players. Thank you to Johnny. Thank you to Kat. Thank you to Zach. And thank you to Toya for being amazing and awesome. Please stick around. We will be doing that raid as soon as this video is over. And you want to hear that awesome music, right? And you will like who we're raiding as well, I promise. That's it for me. Much love. I'll see you folks back here tomorrow night for Ghost of Tsushima on Christmas Eve. More of this campaign to come either next weekend or if not, early in the new year in January. So that's it for me. Thanks for now. Stick around for the raid, and I will see you lovely folks soon. Until then, everyone, be good to each other. Bye for now.